Without further ado, I would like to call upon Professor Dr. Astuti binti Amrin, Dean of Razak Faculty of Technology and Informatics for the welcoming remarks. Please welcome Prof. Dr. Astuti Amrin.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Our distinguished speaker yang berbahagia Dr. Saidur Rahman from Sunway University, senior officials, deputy dean, assistant dean directors, professors, colleagues from other institutions, as well as participants, local and international, all staffs, ladies and gentlemen. So all praise due to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, by whose grace and blessings we are able to gather virtually here today. On behalf of Razak Faculty of Technology and Informatics, I am privileged and deeply honored to welcome Yang Berbahagia Dr. Saidur Rahman for this publication webinar series number 1, organized by the Office of Deputy Dean, Research, Development and Innovation of Razak Faculty, UTM Kuala Lumpur. Prof. Saidur, we are both greatly honored and grateful that you have agreed to share your insight and vast experience on high impact publication apart from your busy schedule. It is also my great pleasure to welcome all of you to this publication webinar of Razak Faculty. I would like to extend a special warm welcome to all guests, staffs, and particularly our postgraduate students. Razak Faculty is particularly proud to host this webinar by a renowned figure, Professor Dr. Saidur Rahman, who is currently the head of Nanomaterials and Energy Technology from the Sunway University. So based on his CV, we are very impressed. I think he is the best speaker to be chosen for our first series of this publication webinar, having more than 500 journal articles and more than 100 H index. I think we are very fortunate to have him with us today. And Prof. Saidur, for your information and also for all participants, yesterday we have an official circular which is already approved in Senate few months ago. We have a new requirements for the PhD thesis submission in UTM. I believe this is one way for us to increase our visibility in the publications. So the new requirements is for a submission of a PhD thesis for students between 6 and 16 semesters. It is mandatory to have at least one publication in WOS for students enrolling this coming semester session 2021-2022 in September. So or either one WOS publication or 2 scopus. Whereas for the students intended to submit in their semester 5, they need to have 2 WOS publication. And I think having you with us today is really timely. And you know, in UTM we already launched our research and innovation blueprint. We found out we have many of our lecturers, about 10 to 50% who has not published, not even in Scopus. But Razak Faculty is rather a new faculty. We have young and energetic talents. So I hope that you can encourage and motivate them, and most importantly, to instill a positive mindset on publication. What, why, and how to publish in high impact journals. With that, I would like to congratulate the organizing committee headed by the Deputy Dean, Research, Development, Innovation for this initiative. And I hope each and every one of you will enjoy the session and will gain a very fruitful discussion after this. So with that, thank you very much. And again, on behalf of Razak faculty and also UTM, we would like to express and extend our gratitude and thank you to Professor Dr. Saidur Rahman. So thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Nurul Aini.
Thank you, Prof. Dr. Astuti, for the welcoming speech. So a little bit, we are honored today to have with us a prominent figure in publication, Professor Saidur Rahman from Sunway University. A little bit about Professor Saidur Rahman. Professor Saidur Rahman is currently working as a distinguished research professor and head of the Research Center for Nanomaterials and Energy Technology at Sunway University. He is also working with Lancaster University as a full professor. Previously, he worked as a chair professor at the Center of Research Excellence in Renewable Energy at King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals, Saudi Arabia. Prior to joining KFUPM, Prof. Saidur worked 18 years in University of Malaya. He graduated from Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology in 1997 from the Department of Mechanical Engineering and completed his both Master and PhD from University of Malaya, Malaysia. Prof. Saidur is working in the area of emerging nanomaterials and their application in energy storage, heat transfer, solar energy harvesting. Cleveland Analytics, Thomson Reuters awarded him highly cited researcher for being among the top 1% researchers for most cited documents in his research field for the 6 consecutive years from 2014 to 2020. In 2019, Professor Saidur published almost 550 journals papers, mostly in top-ranking high-impact journals. He is ranked #1 by Web of Science on nanofields research-related topics. He has more than 42,500 citations with an H index of 107 according to Google's classification. Prof. Saidur presented a series of publication talks on writing high-impact journal papers locally and internationally. He has supervised more than 80 postgraduate students so far and has secured and managed more than 25 million ringgit research grant as PI and also as member. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Professor Saidur Rahman to deliver his presentation.
Assalamualaikum and hello. Thank you, Nurul, for the introduction and also organizing this event, including your team. I also would like to thank the Dean, Professor Asmawati, for her nice work. And also she highlighted some of the new initiatives introduced by UTM. Okay, so let me start slowly my slides. Can you see the slides properly? Nurul? Can you see the slides?
Not yet. Can anyone see the slide?
Not yet.
Yeah, when problem, sometimes it's problem. So let me close and restart again. Is it visible now?
Just leave it for some few minutes because the last time it came and went.
Is it visible now?
Not yet. Maybe we have to wait. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, okay now.
yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay, that's good. So technology, sometimes it takes time. So let me start slowly. So as Nurul highlighted my brief profile. Basically, those are my experience, and some of you might know that I worked long time in University of Malaya as a student and also an academician. So I have 23 years of research and academic experience. Those are basically reflected in my profile, which are highlighted. So as you can imagine, I will basically share my research experience today here. Nurul, so this Google Meet always has some beeping noise. Last time I also had with UPM. It would be good. Yeah, now no more noise. Okay, it would be good because noise is disturbing.
Okay, I will try to unmute the beeping sound.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. So basically, I will be talking few slides on motivation, that is importance, what can motivate us, why we need to publish, and some of details. I'll be talking importance, motivation, and so on. Few slides. Then how to write high impact original journal papers. Basically, my own experience I'm going to share. Then there will be focus on how to write high impact review papers. That's an important element. And also, we are at pandemic situation, so it's hard to go lab, sometimes restricted. So I think it is a good topic at this moment. I discussed with Nurul, so she also suggested, given the situation, I think that's also a pertinent topic, so suitable. So I'll be discussing about that, write a high impact review paper. And also another important aspect is how to find journal, how to search journal, and journal ranking. Okay? Yeah. So Nurul, my voice is it okay, correct?
Yes, Prof.
Okay. So you can see my second slide.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because sometimes the slide does not move. That's also some of the technological problem. Okay. So I'll be talking a little bit about Sano University, even though new, but there are some good unique features. These are the reason also I joined Sano University. As you can see, small, growing, but importantly, there are 17 research centers. So I'm leading one of the research center, that is Research Center for Nanomaterials and Energy Technology. Sano University supported like this center. So at School of Engineering and Technology, there are 4 research centers. So my center is one of the research center, and they are heavily supporting for research. That's one of the unique unique reason I joined Sano University. Later share some of the unique things, those which will be useful probably for participants. So for purpose, I will brief a few slides on that. So this is Sano University. You know, I'm not going more details, but slowly also we have some recognitions. As you know, private university is not that cool yet, but PTA is investing a lot of money. A lot of resources are being provided to lift the university to a higher level. So that's why some of the rankings are coming also. Okay, so let me start with the motivation. So this is important. This is the reason I'm going to talk that up to certain level, I can motivate all of you. So motivation is dependent on many factors. In relation with you, some of the factors are related to the university studies. For example, Dean just now mentioned that it will be a mandatory to publish, or a paper is accepted in ISI Web of Science or Scoop Journal. So when I was in University of Malaya, so they also introduced this for PhD and master students. They must publish in ISI Web of Science journal. So sometimes motivation comes from universities, sometimes form of a financial support. You might know that when I was in University of Malaya, so they introduced reward system, like if anyone published a Q1 journal paper, they will give 6,000 Malaysian ringgit per paper. So there were some scheme also in some universities for students also. Also the environment, your goal, opportunity, challenges, many other things also related with this motivation. These are some of the, when you succeed, when you perform well, and why you are also determined. These are the many things also motivate you and us. So motivation is important for our success to reach our goal. So here is a simple formula, as you can see, I have taken from the references. So in academic life, in research life, in industry, we always want to be excellent or role model. So as you can see, the excellence is a function of motivation and commitment. And most importantly, you see the commitment is very important. So if you are half committed, you cannot be academically or research-wise excellent. So these are the important parameters. So if you want to be excellent, you need to motivate yourself. You need to be committed. Okay. So if you work just at the shallow level, at the surface level, not determined, not serious, probably you cannot be excellent researcher. So now this slide is very important here. Sometimes probably we misunderstood that we just only need to publish for the sake of publication. But in my view, 1 minute, we should have our long-term goal along with the publication. So that's why I brought this innovation term. So basically, through this publication, what it helps us basically to be a creative, inventive, and innovative mind. As a result, it's not only paper. We can generate new idea, we can discover, we can invent, we can be innovative researcher, as highlighted at the right-hand side. So this should be our main purpose. This should be our prime goal, along with high-impact publication, citations, promotions, and so on. So this should be our prime goal and long-term goal. Of course, it's not one-day practice. So if we have our systematic plan, if universities strategize their research, publication, and innovation, if they link this research publication with product development, with innovation, as I highlighted here also the TRL level, I think that would be much more appropriate and systematic approach. So it's not only just publishing for the sake of publication, but this research publication also should be linked with contribution to the society's commercialization, product development, income generation, and so on. So basically, that is that should be the main prime goal. That's why I highlighted here to build or to create an innovative mind, inventive mind. So that this is important thing. Please keep in your mind while you are doing research. So of course, everybody cannot be all research cannot be converted into product, commercialized product, and so on. But some research are really very highly inventive, innovative. So those are the areas where the university also can put strategic and support so that those can be taken into up to the technology readiness level at a higher level. Of course, when we publish, basically this also helps us to be innovative researcher. This also helps us to generate innovative ideas. For example, I'm publishing since 1997. So as a result, when we publish papers, so in the next paper, what would be our new ideas, new knowledge? So this also helps us to come up with new ideas. Why not different way? Why not in other ways to reduce the price, cost, and efficiency, and so on? And of course, today I'm giving this talk seminar. These are part of training and academic growth. So I have some knowledge, so I can share how to write good quality paper, how to write review paper, what's the importance, why we need to publish not only this innovation and for other purpose also. So these are basically training. So we are talking about the PhD and master students. So I can see more than 150 participants here today. So basically we need to train PhD and master students so that they can write a good paper. Later on, they can write a good thesis. And importantly, they also can write good research grant proposal. So these are basically training and for academic growth. And we also need promotion and many other reasons. Basically, I will be highlighting in the next subsequent slides. So, so these are the reasons basically we need to publish, and I will explore more. In a keyword, I also finally would like to highlight that publish just not for the sake of publication. Also keep in your mind that some of your work can be converted into prototype and a higher level of technology readiness level. So what is innovation? Basically, this is important, I think, not only for publication. I attended few seminars and talks also on how to become entrepreneur. Basically, if you want to start a business, if you want to commercialize your product, if you want to write a paper, everywhere actually you need the innovation, or the term we call it novelty, uniqueness, how it is different. So I will address that point in one of the slides, because without innovation, without novelty, without unique nature of your work, it is quite hard to publish in high impact journal papers. So this is here I have taken it from other sources. As you can see, what does this innovation mean? So something different, something better, something cheaper, go in a different timeline, something new. So these are different way is defined as the innovation, novelty, something new, something different. So it's not just reinventing the wheel. So you are doing something different, something novel, something unique. So that's what I tried to define it here in a simple way, taken from a source. So now I'll be starting some of the things why we need to publish. So first thing, let me start. I understand, I guess, that majority of the participants are postgraduate students. Normally, major contribution comes from PhD and master students for any universities, any research organization, and accordingly, the participants are also major share is from basically postgraduate students, that is PhD and master students. Sometimes there are academician also, junior academician. They also need to learn sometimes to teach to supervise their students. So they need to know how to write a good paper so that they also can give better training, best training to their students. So PhD degree, I think these are some of the things as I highlighted when I was in University of Malta. They introduced this thing so that basically it has many benefits, because without a good training, you cannot be a good researcher. So if university makes some policy strategies that you need to publish, and these are mandatory, of course, then you are forced and you are obliged, but it has a lot of other benefits, because these are basically training. If you publish more, you are training yourself to be a good researcher. You can write a good paper, you can write a good proposal, you can supervise students in a better way. So to me, even though this is a mandatory requirement, but this also helps your academic growth, academic career, also will help you to be innovative researcher, because when you submit a paper, basically this is how I trained myself. So when I did my master's, I published few papers. So when I completed my PhD, I published few papers, and then later on become academician, got funding, and as a result, you see this 500 plus papers is basically I'm training myself. So reviewer give comments, constructive comments, and this is how we improve ourselves continuously. So I think this is an important requirement for PhD students to get their degree. And also once you have some good quality papers, this also will help you to get a good job. As you know, when you will have interview for a job for postdoctoral fellow or for academic position, they will be looking for your CV. So one of the important criteria, important element is actually how many good quality papers you have published. Of course, there are many other elements as well. Get funding, you know, we academician, when we apply for mostly funding, Malaysian government funding, FRGS, LRGS, TRGS. So they always look for our CVs. It's not only Malaysia. So I was in Saudi Arabia. There also need to submit a short CV. So where your brief achievement, publication, citation, H index, how many projects also you have secured. So all these things are also needed because funding agency don't want to invest. Someone is not qualified. Someone has not done something. So that's why if you have some publication, this also will help you for your future career to secure some funding. Get promoted, as I highlighted, get a job, get promotion actually continuously for academicians also needed. So I was in University of Malaya. Also, I will highlight one slide there actually, what's are the promotion criteria in relation with supervision, publications, and so on. So constantly we need to publish from one position to another position. So if you stop publication, basically you are stopping your promotion as well, because these are some of the criteria you need to fulfill to get higher position from one position to another position. Higher you go, more stringent criteria are applied. This also to attract more students. So academician, normally we put our profile online. Students are also smart. They can identify who are potential prolific supervisors. Definitely this is also important to attract students. So normally I don't face difficulties because I have so many papers. They can find me in social media, in publication platform. And not only that, I also have some other benefit. I'll be talking at the bottom, as you can see. To generate new ideas, advanced science, I think in the previous slides I mentioned. So this is one of our most important reason why we need to publish. Basically, constantly generating new ideas, advancing science. These are the most important reasons we need to focus. So creating network, as you have seen, I have published so many papers, I have citations. So as a result, to sustain my research, to sustain someone's research, actually you need a network, collaboration. So I don't face difficulties. Even when I left University of Malaya, as you know, that was my best place because I did my master's, I did my PhD. I was running a high impact research funding also. So as you know, that was my best place for research. Despite when I left, I did not face difficulties because I had a lot of collaboration. I still maintain good number of publications because of collaboration network. To get a job, I highlighted, and also the self-confidence. Let me share my experience with my students. So as you know, I constantly supervise a good quality number of students. So when any students join, I ask them to publish initial stage a review paper with other students. So when they publish, basically, they themselves feel confident that, yes, now my paper is published in Q1 journal as a collaborating author, and then later on, he or she publishes as a first author. And as a result, I can see they are confident. So this also drives them to work hard, to publish hard. So because it has gone through rigorous review process, it is not an easy task. So as a result, once you know, got the fruits, after planting, after nursing, definitely you will be happy, you will be happy. So this is how students also become more confident. Apart from this, I share some of my experience also. As you know, I joined University of Malaya in 1997. I started as a research assistant at that time. I just simply came with my CGPA, you know, undergraduate CGPA, without having any papers and so on. And today you can see I have 500 plus papers on the journal. There are conference papers also, and in terms of citation also, as you can see, alhamdulillah. As a result, you know, so I came empty-handed, and now I have so many things in my pocket because of policy strategies and hard work. And as a result, you see that frequently I receive a lot of invitation to be evaluator, examiners of proposal grant from Australia, Middle East, you know, big proposal, big grant. Then this also gives me financial and honorarium benefit also. And in addition, these are also recognition. So today, also, I think the UTM invited me. So this is also another recognition. So UTM not only this first time, since 2008, I'm giving the talk to UTM Zorbar also many times. Most cases every year they invite me. So these are again recognition. They find me, maybe I can share something, they invite me. And also because of my experience, particularly the proposal, international thesis, so this really good things, and this also motivate me, and definitely for you also. As I mentioned, once your CV is strong, actually you can attract students. Many other organizations will invite you as a maybe visiting professor, as an exemption, and so on. So I'm at this moment also working with UPM as a visiting professor and also some other universities. So even though I left King Fahd, they also gave me visiting chair professor position. That's also another highly interesting position. So these are the things, side benefit you will enjoy once you published. You are a prolific author. You published in good quality journals. So this also will help to create network. So there are a lot of benefits, immense benefit. I cannot finish just by talking these few hours. Definitely once you work hard, you will see the benefit for you and your students and university also, for university also. So this is important, I think, for academician and also the young researcher, early career researcher, those who are pursuing their PhD and masters, because later on you will be academician, some of you probably. So that's why if you know your future promotion criteria, okay, so then I am sure this you can plan in a better way rather than knowing nothing. So as you can see, I have taken this from one of the universities promotion requirement website. As you can see, there are many elements: teaching, supervision, research consultancy. So basically, supervision is also under both the teaching and research and consultancy, publication. So a lot of service to community. So basically a lot of component on research publication. Normally on an average, maybe 50 to 60% goes to research. Basically, research is much more important than teaching. Of course, good quality teaching is also important, but just by only teaching, you cannot progress much. That's my experience. As you know, I was in quite a number of universities. So research is very important. And publication is one of the major component for that, as you can see. So when you want to move from one stair to another stair, I mean from one position to another position, as you can see, publication component for assistant and associate professor, there are 30% weightages. So when it moves to professor, it is 40%. Whereas you see the supervision capability also you need to increase. Research consultancy remain constant. So you can see the importance of publication in this slide. So better you make a good plan, well planned, don't ignore, otherwise you will suffer. So of course, once we are academician, we want to progress, we want to go higher level. These are also important for our bread and butter, for taking care of our families and children. So that's why if we don't make a good plan, proper plan, at the end we also suffer, our family member will suffer. Basically, it's not that hard thing to publish, at least up to certain level, if we make a good plan and university support. So I'm sure UTM has a lot of support for their students and academic staff, as I was University of Malaya, so I know. So that's why it is always better to have a good plan. You know what's the requirement and you act accordingly. And that's also you are basically supporting university, and university also will support you for your needs and requirements. So this is an important thing here, just for your motivation. I'm not showing myself. As you can see, I came Malaysia in 1997 with an empty hand, and at the end, after 23 years of being here and somewhere else, you can see, as Nurul highlighted in my profile, in my CVs. So these are some of the unique things after working hard strategically, my own strategies and universities' policies and strategies. So I got some of this award, particularly highly cited research award. I was getting this since 2014. when I was in University of Malaya. That is basically the source. I try to highlight, as you know, the University of Malaya got at that time 596 million high impact research fund by the then Vice Chancellor Tan Sri Gaut Jasman. So as you know, he brought that money from the Ministry of Higher Education with a specific target and goal. So I was recipient of around 3.6 million. And at the end, I managed to publish more than 100 papers, maybe more than 20 PhD and master students build the lab. And as a result, these are the reward thing, as you can see. So I work also very strategically hard with my student. As you know, at that time, I finished my PhD and I was more energetic. And also it was really a good plan. As you have seen, I always make my own plan. As a result, all these things came. So that's why I think the funding is important, strategy is important, hard work is important, many other things also involved, published in high impact journals. So those are the important things. So basically that helps us to grow also. So as a result, once I got this highly cited research award, actually constantly I'm receiving a lot of invitation to join other universities with better offer design and so on. And at the end, finally, I also joined Sano University in consultation with the board members, particularly with Tan Sri Jeffrey Chia. Okay, I will share some of the things later on. Here also I got some award because of all this, because of research. So this basically drives me, motivates me, my students also, because these are not only my work. Basically, my students are doing very well all over the world: Australia, Canada, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, and Bangladesh. So that's also another thing. It's not only reward. I'm giving a training that's basically helping the students to be later on a good academician, good researcher. So that's also gives me an impression that good training is also important along with good research. So it's not only about research. So, you know, sometimes research also we link with teaching. That's how I always try. As a result, I also got excellence in teaching as well. So in my view, academicians should have both excellence in teaching and research. So it's not only research. I think we need to take care of our students as well. So when you become particularly the junior or early career researcher, please try to focus in both way. Sometimes it is hard, but for your academic growth, I think you need both teaching and research. So that will make your life balanced. So now I'll be moving into main important topics, how to write high impact papers. Basically, contents are related with high impact papers. So let me start with, because we start with the title. So how to write a good title, that is formation of a good title. Because a good title, a catchy title, and a title basically will entice readers to go into the paper, to read the abstract, to read the whole paper, to read the introduction part, and as a result, there are possibilities that they are going to cite your paper. They are going to use your paper. This is also what is the usefulness of some of our papers that we are going to publish. If somebody use it, we should be happy, we should be proud that yes, my work is something like useful, okay, that is cited. That's one of the way to measure it. It's hard to measure actually sometimes what is the usefulness of our work. Sometimes maybe patent, sometimes maybe product, commercialization, and so on. But sometimes it is very hard. So that's why this bibliographic measure somehow it is important. At least other researchers are found it relevant, useful. Okay, they will use it. So that's why I think high impact meaning that basically it is useful, highly used by others. So that's basically the definition of high impact in my view. So higher is the cited, higher is the usefulness, and then it is defined as the impact factor. Because impact factor is related with the number of paper published and how many times cited. Basically, how many times other people use your paper as a reference in their publication. So that's why it is called the high impact journal paper. So it is related with the title. So a catchy title, an attractive title basically will help you, for the readers to go into deeper and deeper to read the paper. And as a result, if your paper is good, definitely they are going to cite your paper. So that's the one of the purpose. You need to write a good title. So it should be short, relevant to the subject matter. So when you are writing a paper, you know the subject, you know the content, because you spent probably 4 to 6 months to write an original paper. Definitely you know the subject matter. So I'll share how to avoid some of the challenges. Attract readers' attention, as I mentioned. So catchy title and attractive title, basically, title looks very interesting. So let me read. And this is how you need to entice and attract. Be specific, don't be too general. Let's say you are working on something like energy efficiency of household refrigerator, but you write title energy efficiency of household appliances. So there are many appliances, so it's not that specific. These are not major things, but it is always better to be in line with that. And one important thing is that sometimes we put a lot of mathematical jargon, abbreviation in the title. So this basically will not attract readers. So in my view, it is always good if we avoid all this mathematical jargon, chemicals, abbreviation. If we put them in the nomenclature in the relevant section, I think that will be much more better than putting all those abbreviation in the title. So this is my own practice, how I help to build a good title with my students. So you can see some of my papers also later on when we explore that. Our titles always we try to make it as precise, as concise as possible. So these are some of the things. So student works and I'm as a supervisor or as a collaborator, I always know what is their content. So somehow I also know the content, and student collaborators working, so they know the content. So my practice is that you first come up with 8 to 10 keywords. From that keyword, you know some of the keywords are weak, some of the keywords are strong. So there is no hard and fast rule. It's up to us. Actually, we can critically think, and we can eliminate weak keywords. Let's say now you have 5 strong keywords, and you join them and write 3 titles. Normally, I will ask them to write 3 titles. From that 3 titles, basically, I will put my effort. I will check it again, and finally, because I'm experienced, and a student normally want to write too technical. So if too technical, again, it might not be attractive. So that's why I put my effort. I'll give my experience there. So that title becomes more attractive, catchy, and not with the jargon. And as a result, normally there are always less comments about the title in our case. So this is how you can build a good title. And also there should have some word limit. Don't make it too long. Normally 12 to 15 words are some of the guidelines. Don't cross that more than 15 words. I think that will make your title much more attractive, catchy, and something will be good. So don't write a too long title, not attractive, appealing, jargon, too general, too specific, does not reflect content. So that's why if you bring the keyword, basically, because you know you are working on that topics for 4 to 6 months, so you know the content. So that's why if you bring some strong keyword, I think this is how you can avoid that title does not reflect the content. So you can see here that I put 2 titles, so it's not that long. There is no mathematical jargon. Even though in my area, you also can understand thermal energy conversion in nanofluids. So there is no mathematical jargon, there is no abbreviation. It's short, precise. So in our area, to me, this is a catchy title. This is an interesting title, and definitely this will entice me to go through the whole paper. Okay, it looks something new in our area. And also another paper that is from Applied Energy. This is also a guideline how to write journal articles, high-tech papers in energy science. This is in Applied Energy. You can read also. Okay. So a guide to writing article. This is also short, precise, okay, without a mathematical jargon. Affiliation is address also important, and also you name sometimes different places you write different names, not consistent. Later on, you will face difficulties to get all papers together, because sometimes your profile will be seen by employer when you submit. So in that case, if you write different way, for example, if I write my name, full name Saidur Rahman, Rahman Saidur in different way, it is difficult for them to get all the papers together. So that's why I kept consistently R Saidur to track all my papers together. So this is something you need to be careful. And also as a student, always be careful with your affiliation, because if affiliation is not, let's say UTM appropriate department, then it will not be counted. So this will be a huge penalty for you. So you cannot argue in any way, because you have done a mistake, and definitely that one will be very hard to convince the management. Of course, you can go through different stages to rectify, to correct, but that may take time, and publisher may entertain or may not entertain once it is published. So it is always better to be careful with the consistent naming and the affiliation address. Okay, and the corresponding should be by asterisks with each and every details. So now the next element after title is the abstract, is basically a summary of your work. So you have done your introduction part, methodology, result, discussion, conclusion. So from that part, you bring a few sentences in the abstract. That's what I call the summary. It is different from conclusion. Conclusion is basically related with the objectives, achievement of objectives. Whereas abstract is the summary of your whole paper, whole manuscript. Tell readers what you did and important findings. Some of the things about the findings should be here. Short and precise. So in scientific writing, basically, most of the things should be short and precise. As you know, we can write a paper, 10 pages, 15 pages, not 50 pages original paper, like a thesis. So that's why short, precise, concise, these are the keywords. I have taken it from one of the journal editor, Professor M.H.J. Hashmi. So he also highlighted all these things, and these are also our experience based on publication with many journals. If I write an introduction too long, abstract too long, normally they will make comments. So that's why short and precise. This is also art of writing, as short as possible with a clear meaning. Okay, not so long, too large size. These are not encouraged in scientific writing. Okay, so abstract should not contain details of the experimental procedure. You should have something, but not too much content about the experimental setup, procedure, and analysis. Maybe one or two sentences. I think in the next slide you can see. So the last one, it depends on journal to journal. So 150 to 200 words to limit yourself so that you don't cross, and also again you can make your abstract short and precise to limit yourself. It depends on the journal. So it should be from 150, and in some journal maybe 150 to 200 words should be sufficient. So again, it depends on journal to journal. This is a much more better and structured way. I think those who are new particularly. So when I was PhD and master students, actually I never got such things. So as you know, I learn, and I like to share also with the scientific community, with the students, because without a proper learning, sometimes we face difficulties. I think these are the rule of supervisors, university also. I think it is good. I'm glad that UTM is doing these types of workshop to train their students, academician. I think it is very important, because experienced researchers, if they share, because they are basically experienced, they have gone through that way. So if they share, I think then route or way for students, junior academician will be much more easier, convenient. Because without proper learning, proper guideline, they have to discharge their sweat heavily. So I think this is good, and I really appreciate this approach by UTM and some other universities also. And now a lot of online seminars also going on. So it should contain basically a background information, objective, methods, results, conclusion. So as I mentioned, you are bringing a few sentences from the whole content, whole paper. So you know the whole paper. So now you bring one or two sentences for each and every component. That's defined here as background information, objective, methods, results, conclusion. So a few sentences, as you can see, and more information about the result. Okay, so most of the content are there. Then you bring 1 or 2 sentences on conclusion. So if you put this as your checklist, I'm sure that your abstract will be better. Draft abstract will be better. And when your supervisor also will be looking, he or she also expert, particularly those who are senior supervisor, I'm sure they know this thing. So if junior supervisor, I think they also need to learn. This is the way also you can check that whether student has written the abstract accordingly or not. Okay, so this is what I call is a checklist. This will give you the guideline. Of course, this is theoretical. More you practice, more you write, more you ask yourself, more you send for peer review process, discuss with collaborators, more stronger your title will be, your abstract will be, your introduction will be. So a keyword is basically, even though this is theoretical, you need to practice. So practice, practice, practice. More you practice, better you will be. So that is the keyword, as we know. So now, probably some of you know that what is the main structure is defined as, remember, an easy way that IMRAT is basically taken from introduction. I stands from introduction, M stands for methodology, R stands for results, A stands for N, D stands for discussion. Of course, there are conclusion abstract, but these are the major components. So that's why for easy of remembrance, you can remember this easily. This is how IMRAT is defined. Okay, so this is for your easy understanding. So now I'll be talking about the introduction part. Basically, introduction is why we need to publish. Okay, provide context to convince readers that you clearly know why your work is important. So importance of your work need to be highlighted. So the question of you have to answer why your work is important, why this investigation is important, why this experimental work is important, why this review work is important. So it basically is importance, aim, purpose. That's what I highlighted somewhere. Okay, brief statement of the need for the investigation. Again, this is the purpose of why. Review up-to-date literature and specific objectives. So I will show you how to write specific objectives. This is very important for researcher, academician, how to write objectives. It's not only for paper. I think we set our goals, aim, purpose, that is related to the objective. So I'll present some of the slides so that you can write objectives in a better way with breadth and strength and depth. Up-to-date literature, it is always very important. If you want to be a good researcher, basically you need to download, you need to critically analyze, read, digest latest relevant references, particularly for last 5 years. So we are in 2021, so let's say from 2015 onward, majority of the literature should be from it. So this is, be careful, because if you take the literature, most of the literature from conferences, not peer reviewed and very old, it will be outright rejected. And now competition is much more higher, stronger. So definitely you will face tremendous challenges. So be careful with the latest up-to-date literature. So you are fortunate that you PTM subscribe all the relevant databases like LCBR, Scientirex, Finger, and so on. You just enter into the library and you easily can download. Okay, so this section also should brief down. So this is very, very important, highly important. It's not only publication domain, in innovation domain, you want to be entrepreneur, wherever you want to go, you want to start a new business, even though small business, but you have to find how your business is something different. You are going to sell a coffee or develop a coffee shop, but how your coffee shop is different from others. Okay, what is the uniqueness of your coffee shop? So you need something different, something uniqueness, something different from others each and everywhere. So that's why this term is very, very important, and I'll highlight it somewhere. And without this, basically, we are talking about the scientific publication. Without this novelty, without this originality, uniqueness, this is where we define high impact journal. stronger the originality, higher the originality, better you have the possibilities to publish in high impact journal. This is one of the major question actually the editor at the first instance will be looking for. He will be looking definitely what is the novelty at the introduction section. If he is convinced, he will let it go through, and also within scope, he or she will let it go through review process. Otherwise, he will be stopped there. So this is extremely important. So out of 100, I would say that you should give 90% weightage on this in terms of designing your experiment, in terms of aiming to be a good researcher. So this is highly important, and always give special emphasis, high emphasis on this uniqueness and novelty when you are going to design your experiment or research work. So again, to restrict yourself, don't be too write a too long paper, 7 or 8 pages. So here 4 type double space should be all right, fine. Sometimes there are word limit also. You can make word limit also, meaning that don't write too long. So when you write too long, again, you check yourself, you ask your supervisor, your team members, collaborators, how this can be made concise, short, brief, and concise. So these are the important elements. So major contents, again, like structured way of abstract, it would be better if I give you a structured way. So normally introduction part should contain background information and motivation, importance, purpose, as you have seen. It should contain objectives and scope, problem statement and novelty, latest relevant references and applications. So sometimes in some cases you don't put application. So again, reviewer will make the comment. So if you put your content, if you structure sorry, your introduction in this way, I think there will be less comments, and also this is how you can put the word limit also. Maybe here 50 word or half pages. So this also will help you to restrict your overall content as well. And if you put all this way, I think then content will be overall balanced way. So now I'll be talking about the objectives. So it is very important, and time to time I also improve my knowledge and learning. So I also learn from LinkedIn courses, which is subscribed by Sano University for our academic growth, for our leadership, communication skill. I also top up my knowledge. So they are also specifically mentioned. You want to be a leader, you want to set your goal KPI, you want to publish wherever whatever you are going to do. You want to write a thesis, you want to develop a proposal, you want to write a paper, you need basically aim, purpose, goal, and objective. So let's say objective. So how to write objective? So objectives you need each and everywhere. Without goal, without aim, without purpose, you don't know where you are going. Okay. So how many objectives are there? What is within these 3 or 4 months, what you are going to do? Without clear-cut objectives, goals, aims, and purpose, basically it's not well designed. So that's why writing a smart objectives in a better way, it is very, very important to write objectives in a smart way. There are other ways also, but as long as we understand, that should be fine. So it should be specific, it should be measurable, it should be attainable, it should be result-oriented, it should be timely. So what does this mean basically? You are designing an experiment to publish a paper. So for 4 to 5 months, so basically you need to come out with objectives, maybe 2 or 3 objectives. Those which are measurable, achievable, you are not dreaming. So 4 to 6 months, what you can do? You cannot do like a PhD work. So that's why you need to be timely, and this also produce some results. Okay, at least some results, and attainable. You are not making dream, and you are making objectives and your goal for 4 or 5 months, but it seems like like 3 or 4 PhD. So those are basically dream. You have to be very careful. You ask yourself whether all these are specific, all these are measurable, achievable, result oriented. So you ask yourself. Basically, this will help you to define, to write a better objectives, which will be specific, measurable, attainable, result-oriented, and timely. At least some of the challenges will help you to overcome, to avoid if you follow this writing smart objectives. Okay. So more specifically also, now when we write an objective, so objectives can be very low level, as we do it in our outcome-based education. like classification, definition, these are very low level. So how we know our objectives are up to the level that is depth and breadth are quite enough up to high impact journal, thesis, proposal, and so on. As you can see at the left hand side, knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So knowledge is the bottom level. Okay, so these are not that much breadth and depth. Okay, just definition. It does not make sense to give you a PhD degree or high quality journal paper. Whereas if you go at the highest level, evaluation, synthesis, so these are higher level. What does this mean? Basically, breadth and depth. So these are normally, as an examiner, as a reviewer, as an editor, we are looking for, I mean, higher level analysis, application. So application is also all right up to certain level, maybe one objective. So analysis, synthesis, evaluation. So if you pick some of the work from here, so that's why when you do your project-based work, whether it is undergraduate and PhD and masters, these are basically project. Normally, project-based work basically will help you to analyze, criticize, evaluate, judge, basically higher level of Bloom's taxonomy. That is basically in a keyword depth and breadth. So that basically again will help you to define that this can be published in high impact journal papers. Again, it is related with this, how we can relate with this Bloom's taxonomy. Basically, this will help you, will guide you to write a higher level of your achievement. So again, I'm putting here, as you know, the writing objective is very important. I'm putting some more focus on what is the objectives, how we define SMART objectives, and then with the Bloom's taxonomy, and finally examples of writing objectives. Normally, it would be better if you write with some action verb. Okay, as you can see here, to analyze. So this is again, as you have seen, these are higher level. To analyze thermophysical properties of nanofluid. Okay, so to analyze, to develop, to validate, to compare. So as you can see, to develop a mathematical model, this is higher level, this is PhD level, these are master's level. To develop a mathematical model is not an easy task. So you need to do a lot of things, assumption, mathematical formulations, experimental validation, and many things involved. And also you have developed a mathematical model, simulation, so on, and then at the end you also validate. So this also will give the more stronger achievement. So this validation, and also you compare how strong your results are. So these are the ways, some examples to write your objectives in a better way for your high impact papers, journal papers, for your thesis, for your proposal, and whatever you are going to do, always try to write in this way up to a certain level as much as possible. Now I'll be talking about originality. It is very important. You need to put a lot of effort, as I highlighted. Without originality, it will be hard for us to publish in high impact journal. That is, we define as a Q1 or top percentile or top notch journal, whatever we define, actually without a strong novelty. Higher the novelty, stronger the novelty, you can convince the reviewer and editors to publish in high impact journal. So this can be again very high, marginal, useful, none. As you know, some of the researchers publish paper in Science, Nature, impact factor 20, 25, 30. So all those are called the top-notch journal. So that's what we call the originality is high, breakthrough. So definitely that can be published in top-notch journal, high impact journal, maybe among the top 1% in that specific field. It also can be marginal, it also can be useful and none. So we are researcher again. I'm not sure how many of you already published how many papers on Q1, Q2, but research is basically a training. So you need to move from one step to another step. You cannot learn all those overnight. So if you face difficulties at the initial stage, at your initial or early career, and you don't have a good mentor, supervisor, so definitely you need to struggle, and then probably it is wise to start something from a seminar paper, conference paper, low impact paper. This is what I call, you need to train yourself. Without a training, proper training, and also you need a good team, need funding, a lot of things involved with the high impact journal papers. As you have seen, Tan Sri Gaut Jasman brought more than $500 million Malaysian ringgit. You know, the funding is very important. So I had students through that, university had student facilities, and that's how high-impact papers came out. So it's not an easy thing. So, but even though we don't have all those things, still we can manage because we have students, we have some other resources. University may support also small grants. So in that case, if you face difficulties at the initial stage to publish high-impact journal, but I strongly encourage that start with seminar, conference, Q3, Q4 to train yourself so that you can raise your bar over the time. That's what I tried to mean by originality. It can be high, marginal, useful, none, something like that. Okay. Read literature from all databases, basically how you will find the novelty. So that's why you need to read a lot of literature. Basically, this is how we identify. Normally, in our case, I'm working in this area for 23 years, so I know what would be the novelties. It's not difficult for me as I'm experienced. But those who are new, you need to read a lot of literatures. Basically, literature will, at the review paper, it will highlight the future direction and the introduction section of original paper also what has not been done. Okay, so that's why you need to read the literature from all databases, meaning that LCBR, Science Direct, Springer, American Chemical Societies, and all the databases you need to explore. Scrutinize more relevant papers. So there are many, many papers, millions of papers. So you need to scrutinize which are relevant to your specific focus and topics. Read introduction part where and how research gap is identified and highlighted. As I mentioned, normally at the introduction part, they highlight what has been done and what has not been done. And some of the gaps are addressed in that specific paper and some are not addressed. Okay, so this is how you can get some of the highlight also. The research gap. Read recommendation, future direction of the review article. So I missed that part. Okay, review article also gives guidelines. So that's also purpose of writing a review paper. It has immense benefit. I will share later on. But to me, I think we are giving a guideline. If we write a review paper, we are giving a guideline for the future researcher that where they can do original work. Some guidelines we are giving them, some directions we are giving them. Then it becomes easier for them. This is also good for writing a new proposal also. Ask, discuss with your supervisor because they are experienced, particularly somebody is working 20 years, 30 years, so he or she knows what are the novelties over there, what are the gaps available over there that can be addressed, that need to be addressed. So this is an example of how to address originality. I'm providing here like this. Why? Because sometimes I see a reviewer as an examiner, as a supervisor, that students in most cases, they write that there are literature study. There is no literature. So it just so simple, it just so big. Normally, its reviewers will not be convinced just by that one statement. Okay, basically, you have done a lot of things inside the paper. This is my experience in terms of novelty, but you fail to amplify them. You fail to highlight them in the introduction part. So that's why, as you can see, I put here 4 bullets. This is one of my PhD students' experience. So he came out with only one novelty. So after extensive discussion with him, I posed a lot of questions, and then we identified that there are basically 3 novelties with the bullet number 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, as you can see. And this is also how literature gap is identified. In the paper also, you need to identify who has done what and who has not done what. That's basically will help you to identify the research gap. So based on the above literature study, that is reference number 22, 23, 28, 29, they have focused on the fast flow efficiency of solar collector operated with this specific nanofluid. So they have focused on fast flow, whereas in our case, we also focused on second law of thermodynamics. That is something different. They also focus on only this multi-wall carbon nanotube, whereas our focus is some other nanomaterials. Okay, we got also higher second law efficiency, and also our stability is also higher. So as you can see, they are basically we highlighted 3 more novelties compared to available literature. So this is how you need to clearly, and this also you have to be. This has to be authentic. You should not exaggerate. You should not lie something. Okay, you can amplify, but with the reasonable approach. Okay, something you lie, you hide, or it's not appropriate. Of course, the reviewer, that's the job of the reviewer. He or she will dig out. Like for example, myself, I'm experienced. So if somebody exaggerates, then I can identify, I can check and verify. And sometimes I also go and dig out the literature that will tell actually how strong your novelty statements are. So always be careful, as strong as possible, with the authenticity, with the genuinity, so that you don't exaggerate. So critical analysis, review of literature. I think in the review paper, I will highlight these things. I go a little bit faster. This slide also very important. So now I'll be moving into the methodology section. So that's why the proper flow of materials, organization, coherency, these are some of the questions posed by editors and reviewers in some cases. So that's why this slide basically will help you to organize your paper in a more coherent way. This is also I learned by attending a workshop organized by German Academic Exchange in Vietnam. It was extensive workshop. I was sponsored by them. And this is how also I learned. And of course, I also learned by publishing number of journals. So you have title. Once you have title, and then basically, as I mentioned, you need to come out with specific objectives, smart objectives, and how to write smart objectives, which are specific, measurable, result-oriented. I have explained with examples and with the Bloom's taxonomy also. So now you have written 3 objectives, which are clear, achievable, measurable, and so on. Then once you have objectives, basically you need to achieve the objectives through a methodology, right? So you need to achieve the objectives through the methodology. Methodology is basically a question of addressing how you are going to achieve the data, or you are going to generate the data. Basically, it can be experimental work, it can be survey work. Okay, on science-based, normally we do the experiment. Non-science, maybe you do the survey work, focus group, and qualitative and quantitative research, right? So basically, you need to develop a methodology. So if you know the objective number 1, definitely you can develop, you can design your methodology based on the stated objective number 1. So this will make your methodology also well developed and coherent, because you have objective number 1, you also have methodology to achieve that objectives, right? So similarly, you have now objective number 2, then you move on objective number 2, and what will be the methodology? Whether it is survey work, whether it is experimental work, each and every details of experimental parameter, experimental equipment, statistical analysis, and so on, each and every details of that method should be there to achieve the objectives, to generate the data for objective number 2. And same way for objective number 3, objective number 4, and so on, if you have more objectives. Normally 2 to 3 objectives are fine for a paper. For thesis, maybe 3 or 4 objectives. As long as all those are with the Bloom's taxonomy higher level, sometimes it may not be that many, but normally up to 3 or 4 objectives. For journal, I think 3 objectives are more than enough. But it can be one strong objectives also, how you write also, and also how you achieve. So once you design your methodology based on your stated objectives, you basically, a methodology will help you to generate the data. That is tables and figures, right? So those tables are figure also. Now you present based on the stated objective number 1. So result, you present their results, tables and figures, and then you discuss. Again, these are to make well organized, coherent, in line with this objective number 1 and 2. So your methodology is in line with objective number 1, 2, and 3. Your result and discussion also with the stated objectives and so on. And at the end, conclusion and abstract, as I mentioned, different. How it is different? Normally, these are questions also asked, so I'm giving the answer. So now you see, conclusion is related to the objectives, nothing with the whole content of the paper. So you have objectives, now you have to highlight that your objectives are achieved. Let's say you achieve the 50% improved efficiency. So now you have to tell that, yes, our efficiencies are 50% better than that. Okay, our methods are cheaper than available literature. So these are concrete achievement findings based on stated objectives. Whereas abstract is basically the summary. You are taking 1 or 2 sentences from introduction, that is background, methodology, from methodology part, result discussion, and conclusion. So that is how abstract and conclusions are different. And in this case, how we link these objectives and conclusion. Okay, so I'll be talk a little bit at the conclusion section later on. If you write your paper, your thesis, your proposal in this way, definitely this will make your paper coherent, well organized, and so on. And you will get less comments, and this also will help you to write a paper in high impact journal papers. Basically, there will be less comments. So now I'll be focusing more on writing a comprehensive methodology. Is basically, it can be analytical work, theoretical work, computational work. I think this is also important. Let me give a little bit focus on here. We are now at pandemic situation, so it is hard for us to go lab. So now restricted due to the movement control. It's not only Malaysia, I think all over the world. So it is very hard time. So that's why if we focus on analytical work, theoretical work, computational work, using computational tools or analytical software and so on, this also probably will help you during this pandemic situation. So what you need a theoretical simulation work should be detailed in this section. Modeling theoretical details should be here. So basically each and every details as much as possible should be here because this is the methodology part. You can write more details here, no problem. So it's not that brief that what is mentioned in the abstract, so on, as necessary as possible, but excessive things, unnecessary things, maybe you can put in appendix, important equation if you still feel need to be provided. Details of the computer tools, so all this should be here, and particularly here, I think it is important that you can focus, maybe you use input data or secondary data from other sources to feed in your model to get some data, and with that probably it will help you during this pandemic situation. Even we have impressive lab, but since 2020 March, we are very much suffered to go into the lab. Whereas in 2019, our student could go into the lab 24 hours, and as a result, still we can sustain. And also we are focusing all those input data, all those experimental data into the model computational tool because we have collaborators all over the world. Now we are focusing more on analytical work, theoretical work, computational work, because it is very hard now to go into the lab to generate the data, even though we have lab due to this COVID-19. So I think UTM students, academicians also should change their tune, also the mood to sustain at least for a few years. I'm not sure how long it will take, but at least for another 2 years. Also the publication cycle, if you stop, actually it will impact for some few years. So that's why I think you should not stop. You should try your best doing this analytical, theoretical, computational work. And in addition, writing review paper. I think that one I'll focus on the other slide when I'll be presenting on how to write a review paper. So experimental work, details of the following should be in this section: experimental program, test method, purpose, details of the equipment, their accuracy, calibration, materials used, materials method, justification of method that used for that purposes. So these are the questions also asked by sometimes examiner, reviewer. So you try your best to put as details as possible, particularly what are the parameters, what are the purpose, accuracy of the equipment, calibrated materials used, their purities, sources, some specification, and so on. Sorry. Justification of the methods used for their test. Okay. Also, sometimes you use that some of the test method or some materials. Why you need to put some justification there. Better you always follow a good model paper. This is our practice. This is my practice. So when I was doing my PhD and masters, I also follow some good model thesis. Basically, I also at that time UM did not subscribe to a digital dissertation, but basically one of my colleague from UTM also at that time helped me. So I'm grateful for that help. So that's also rule of collaboration. Okay, so this is non-science based, but sometimes science also need to do some survey work to get some customers, clients, or stakeholders feedbacks where interviews, focus group, participant observation, field notes, videos, text message analysis, and these are the ways also you need to get some data. So each and every details as much as possible, you need to provide them. Again, you follow a good model, a good paper, how they have presented their methodology in that model paper, good paper. Those are published in high impact journal. That will guide you, because through this seminar, actually each and everything is not possible. I'm just giving you some insights, some guidelines. Of course, you need to practice by yourself more and more. So following a good model, a good paper, good researcher, I think is very important for you to guide throughout your academic life, writing a paper and wherever you need it. So this statistical sensitivity error analysis is very important because this will help you to see the robustness, strength, and accuracy of your results, how strong your results are, how robust your results are. This is basically done by error analysis. So in engineering, we study instrumentation. I think their accuracy, error, tolerance, all those things are also learned. I think in SPSS also in some statistical terms are also average, R-square, all those things are also involved in statistical analysis. So this is important in research. Normally, if you do the statistical analysis in science area, I think this will make your paper stronger, robust, and there are possibilities if your data results are strong, other components are strong. This will further improve your paper and possibilities of getting accepted in high impact journal papers. So I'm not in science base, so I have taken it from one of the PhD students from UPM. He helped me. He also requested to put this for non-science based social science. So basically, this is about the methodology, but most of the thing I talk in general. You need introduction, you need abstract, you need result and discussion, you need objective. So, but method is different. I mean, the data collection is basically, as you have seen, you can collect by survey, interview. In previous one of the slides also I mentioned. So there are quantitative method, there are qualitative method, and it can be also mixed method. So I'm not much in that area. So you can read, again, a good model paper. You can read, you can work with the team, you can work with the collaborators, you can post many questions whether this method is appropriate or not. So that basically will help you to address the question of designing your experiment, your methodology part, your theoretical framework, and so on in your social science area. I think some good journal in your specific area, specific field will help you to develop your methodology part. Okay, so this is how you want to collect the data, quantitative data, qualitative data. Okay, mail questions, web-based questionnaire. So I think sometimes we engineer also. If we want to get feedback on solar energy, renewable energy from the stakeholders, we need to design. Sometimes, as you know, the research is multidisciplinary. So this also helps us. In that case, we need someone from non-science based collaborators or students or academician. Otherwise, the reviewer will ask question. All you are engineer, but there are non-science. So where is that expertise? So try to keep balance when the research is multidisciplinary. So now is the most important part, basically, I would say result and discussion. This is also I have taken from the journal editor. I have modified some of the content also, but he's also editor and I feel these are the good content. Result and discussion section, most important part of your manuscript, where your novelty, your originality, these are basically your original words. So you should put a lot of effort to write them in a critical way, the way that is understood, originalities are highlighted so that you convince the editors and particularly the reviewers that your work is good, novel, that is publishable. You create an impression that your work is good. So that's why you need to put a lot of effort on result and discussion. So these are from Professor M.H.J. Hashmi. So I have taken from him and I will share my own experience, how to make the strong analysis. Okay. So it is mentioned a critical analysis of the results. Okay, so we should have more on reasoning phenomena, why increasing, decreasing. Okay, obtain their significance, novelty, nature of originality. So should be argued. So should discuss why it is happening. Reasoning phenomena. What in a word I can say. Simulation results need to be validated. I think the objectives also I mentioned. Results simulation. Because there are uncertainties, maybe some parameters are missing or design or somewhere wrong. So that's why you need to validate using literature or by maybe experimental. Of course, the experimental validation will make your paper very, very strong. So if you have simulation work and if you have experimental validation, certainly certainly this will make your paper very, very strong, and there will be less chances for the editors and reviewers for your paper to be rejected. If there are sometimes limitations, you try to highlight there to show your honesty, transparency, and fairness. Taken the abort of error, logical errors. Sometimes 2 + 2 is 4, but you write it 5. So it happens sometimes due to rushing situation. So paper should be write in a cool and calm mind. So this is where sometimes in a draft condition it happens. So that gives a negative impression that these guys or these teams are not serious. So there are possibilities that paper might not be accepted unless substantially improved. So sufficient number of quality figures and tables. I'll show some of the figures. So as you can see, the quality of figures and tables also very important. So you are trying to entice the readers. You are trying to publish in high impact journals. So if something is not visible, is not it's faded, basically you cannot entice the people. Basically, these are the reasons your paper will be outright rejected. And this also shows that you are not serious. You are lazy. A negative impression will be portrayed to the reviewers and editors. So I think this quality, just copy and paste, should not be there. And also when you draw the figures, there are certain tools also to improve the quality of the figures. This is another way of, as highlighted in some other section, that precise and concise. As you can see, you can draw 3 figures occupying 3 pages, whereas you can combine them in 1 pages at the right hand side. See, so this is much more better. So you are combining 3 pages in 1 page. So this is what is called the concise, precise, because in journal normally spaces are limited. Okay, so that's why you will not be allowed to present so many figures. So that's why when you present 20 figures, 30 figures, normally you will face difficulties. It is also difficult for you to explain so many figures because you need to critically analyze, critically discuss. So that's why less is better, but not too less. Okay, not so many. So and normally up to 10 figures. In some cases, some journals allow 50 figures also is fine. But within 10 to 12 or 15 should be fine. Beyond that, I think there will be a lot of questions. And when you are going to reduce concise, again, you need to put a lot of effort because whole paper need to be revamped. As a result, you need major effort. You need a lot of time. So this sometimes may frustrate you also. So that's why well planning, conciseness is also is important from the very beginning. So this is my own experience. I'm going to summarize here as a list. As you can see, what will make your analysis, result, and discussion very, very strong. Basically, you should have strong reasoning phenomena, more robust and strong. It is not just one liner or one sentence. Okay, so that's why a model paper, a good quality paper, actually will guide you, will help you. So that's why sometimes maybe you download some proof-based digital dissertation. You can see North American thesis. I think the UTM subscribe. So you can download some high-quality North American thesis in your area. You can see how they have explained their results and discussion more on reasoning phenomena, increasing, decreasing trend. Why it is happening? It's not only one liner or one sentence. Maybe sometimes in some paper they write in 1 pages, 2 pages, so comprehensively, so impressively. I think if you follow in that way, that will make your analysis much more stronger and robust. Here also, you need to highlight the originality because you promise in the novelty that this paper is original. How it is original? Sorry. How much original? How much percentage? How much better? How much better value? How much efficient? How much cheap? You have to demonstrate. Normally results are there, but researchers fail to highlight that these are the originality. These are the higher value, better value compared to literature. So this is where you can compare with the literature also. Validation comparison, as I mentioned. So I think this also will make your analysis much more stronger. If modeling simulation, I think validation will make your results much more stronger. And also the comparison will tell you how strong, robust, strong your results are, how much it deviates from the others want. So that's why the comparison, validation, these are also strong achievement in terms of Bloom's taxonomy and objectives as well. As I highlighted, the error or statistical analysis, that is the error bar. Actually, when you put the error bar, actually the reviewer editors can see how much your results deviated. Okay, so error bar will tell you 10%, 20%. So that also will tell how robust results are. No contradictory statement. So this is due to rush. Sometimes you are going to submit as a requirement as quickly as possible. As you know, the rushing is not a good approach. Sometimes, some of our colleagues, friends want to rush to reach somewhere. As a result, on the route, there is an accident. So when we rush also to go to airport, sometimes we forgot to take our passport. So I think it is important not to be rushed, always be calm and quiet. In this case, make first draft, second draft, third draft. Unless you are satisfied, don't go and submit. Particularly, don't submit during the rushing condition, because some silly error will give an impression that these guys are not serious and sincere. Maybe they will dig out some more, because sometimes paper goes to our some of the people, maybe our they will not like you to publish some competitor, so they will try to find your fault rather than helping you to grow or to be a professional reviewer editors. So in our society, there are people, it might be there, so they will take that opportunity to kill you, to kick you out. So always my strong recommendation is that first draft, second draft, third draft, unless you are satisfied. So that's why I think the collaboration, teamwork is very important. They need to go through whole paper. This is my experience. While as a collaborator, I go through each and every sentence. I see some of the silly mistakes are there, typo errors are there also. I can find it, can help them along with scientific content. No redundancy is basically sometimes same data you present in both figures and tables. It should not be there. Present either one which represent best, either tables or figures. Don't present same data in the form of a table and figure. I mean, same data in one table, in another figure. So this is redundancy. Again, this will make your paper longer. So conciseness and preciseness can be avoided by avoiding this redundancy. And in most cases, I can see the results and methodology sections are mixed up. So then it is not well organized, then it is not coherent. So don't bring methodology. That is the description of equipment, description of your how your data were collected, which equipment specification. It should not be in the result and discussion. That is in the methodology. So you discuss in the methodology section as much as possible. Here, result discussion, and they are critical analysis. Okay, no methodology should be in the result and discussion. This frequently happens. Okay. Of course, the good quality of figures, tables with appropriate legend, as I highlighted. Think what should be presented first and what should be next. Okay, so I think objective may help you also. Also, you think critically what should be first and what should be last. You ask yourself, if you are writing an original paper, don't write literature first. Okay, you are putting literature support first. This will give an impression that your paper is literature. First, present your result. Okay, how much increase, decrease, and then you compare with the available literature. I think that is much more appropriate or better way, rather than presenting literature or references materials fast. Otherwise, it will give the impression that you are writing a review paper. So it will make a confusion, and reviewer need to go and dig out, need to understand. So reviewers are human beings. They are also busy. They are also professors. They are also academicians. They don't have enough time sometimes to check each and everything. And as a result, he will try to dig out this paper is not strong somehow, will create a negative impression on his or her mind. So you need to be careful. Make the things easier for the editors and reviewers. So conclusion, as you have seen, is the basically achievement of your objective. So it again should be short and precise. Originally you also highlight here important points. Concrete achievement findings of the work should highlight the achievement of objectives. Basically, these are the achievement of objectives. So that's why how it should be well organized in one of the slides in the coherency I highlighted. So you have objectives. So now you look at the objectives and you write the conclusion part based on stated objectives. So it can be 3 or 4 bullets. It can be paragraphs. So some editors, reviewers like paragraphs. Some editors, reviewers ask bullet. As long as in line with the objective, it should be okay. If they ask bullet, it's fine. You change. If they ask paragraph form, it's up to. As long as the contents are there in line with objectives, it should be fine. Must tally with the objectives. This must be major findings. So these are basically the findings. So this is another keyword that should be in the conclusion section. No discussion or reasoning, maybe little bit, not because discussion, reasoning phenomena should be in the resultant discussion, maybe minor, little bit. Basically, is the major findings. And always, I strongly encourage try to find a good paper, how they have written. So that's why I think you need a model paper. So when you are writing abstract, you follow a good model paper. When you are going to follow a good model paper on conclusion, you follow how they have written. You can download also the Prof digital dissertation also to follow how they have written their conclusion. Definitely, these seminars, your practice and following some good model will help you to write a good paper, all component of a good paper. That's my experience also. I'm going to share a little bit about this ethics, not much, but it is very important for you to know about this publication citation ethics. Otherwise, it will be detrimental. It will damage your life, career, if paper is retracted, if reports are made. And as you know, sometimes when you will grow, people are looking to find your fault. Okay. Basically, when you are a prolific author, you are growing, enmity will be growing automatically. So I started to publish and growing, and as a result, I can see that people are tracking, people are trying to find my fault and so on. But if we are honest, if we know proper way, so that's why I think this awareness, these are the things you need to know. I think university should have policy also time to time, specifically maybe on awareness on publication ethics should be there, because this is an important area. Predatory journal, where to publish, ethics, all these things, you know, the stealing someone else's idea, plagiarism. This should be one of the focus also in scientific journals, seminars, workshop like this. I think the university or research organization time to time should give specific topics, specific focus on this, so that sometimes because of they don't know, as a result, you know, they will fall into trap or in difficult situation. This definitely will be embarrassing. It's not really for situation. I think if paper is retracted, I think it is bad reputation for the university also. So that's why I think we should not take this as lightly. Okay, we should take this very seriously, so that publication ethics, plagiarism, stealing someone else's idea, salami, slicing, authorship, many unethical practices are there. We academicians also doing all these things. I think we should try, as a Muslim also, I think in our religion also, these are also prohibited things. Sometimes we follow religion, not completely. I think religion also teaches us something good. So that's why where the religion also can play a role to be a good human being. If we know we need to be a good human being, actually that basically tells us also to avoid all those wrong things. Okay, so that's why rule of religion is also important to build a good nation, good human being, particularly. Okay, so here just few slides on rule of collaboration is actually you alone cannot work, as I highlighted in some of the slides, that how I maintain my productivity, sustainability. Basically is the collaboration is very important. You alone cannot work. So I have so many students, I have so many collaborators, I have so many local international people, PhD student, master student. Even I have collaboration with UTM also in JB, and also here, particularly Professor Azwadi. I'm jointly supervising, I'm helping them and they're also helping. And as a result, I think both organizations are benefited. I think that's the importance of collaboration. As you can see, if you collaborate, you will grow. It will help your problem. It will help to solve your problem, university problem, your thesis problem, your publication problem. You see, when you see the paper, maybe first author paper or single author paper, only very rare or few. In most cases, you know, science and nature, how many? Maybe 100, you know, maybe 10 pages only authors list. So that shows the importance of collaboration. whenever you see the paper, actually a lot of authors are there. Basically, that is sometimes students, collaborators, and so on. So teamwork is very important. Always take care of the junior. So I think this is the rule of collaboration. Junior will take care of senior. I think the working together is very, very important. This is very important. You know why I joined Sanoe University. So I met Tan Sri Jeffrey Chia, who is the chairman of Jeffrey Chia Foundation. He's also, you know, one of the richest person, but that different issue. But he is heavily supporting research at Sanoe University. And before joining, actually, I met him and his board member, and I specifically posed a question that private university research is very, money intensive. A lot of investments are needed. So how you are going to support? He asked me a question: how much I need? I say that I need at least 5 to 10 million at the initial stage. And his board member gave an answer: these are bread and butter for us. Every year we make a huge profit, so don't be worried. So alhamdulillah, after joining, they have given more than whatever they promised. As you can see, the outcome of this lab, this is just partial picture. They gave us 5 million to build the lab, and also so strong support, we build this lab within 6 months. I think this is quite impossible in some other places. So I was in somewhere else, and I faced a lot of challenges to build the lab. Alhamdulillah, it is such a nice place. So much support and motivation, conducive environment. We built this impressive lab by spending 5 million Malaysian ringgit within 6 months. Since 2018 November, we started, and 2019 was our best year. And as a result, we published good quality paper. This is where I'm inviting UTM, because researchers face difficulties to find sometimes pertinent equipment, lab facilities, and we also develop unique materials, very latest hot materials magazine that was invented in 2011 in Drexel University, whereas graphene was invented in 2004. So we are pioneer in magazine development in our lab in Malaysia. Successfully developed that materials. As you can see, this using tube furnace. So we have some unique features, unique lab, unique materials. We welcome UTM collaborators. We already have some. So those who are interested, particularly from chemical engineering, chemistry, physics, because that magazine is a lot of chemistry involved, physics involved, energy storage, heat transfer, thermodynamics, renewable energy. So even electrical engineering also involved. I welcome for collaboration to use our lab. If you face difficulties, some other things also we can support, because Sanoe is giving us lab and also some other support like buying consumables, services. So we are fortunate, even the private university, but support is really very strong, very good. And overall, I'm impressed to be here. So as you can see here, I spent already 4.5 years. So I feel this is a good place, and particularly I invite some of you to come here to work here for joint collaboration. So some of my contents are also available in the YouTube. You can find, because it's not enough time to talk each and everything. Okay, you can find me in LinkedIn, Google Scholar, Facebook also. Here also, time to time, I share my experiences for the benefit of young generation, particularly on research, publication, supervision. So you will find some important tips, hints, guidelines in a brief, short way. Sometimes other seminars, talks somewhere else. We put the recorded video also. So you can enjoy, you can read time to time, all those things that may also help you to grow. Okay, so you can be connected as well. So this is, please keep my email address when you want to contact, communicate. Of course, you can find me in LinkedIn, Facebook also, but this is the most convenient way to communicate for research purposes. So I think I stop here. So it is 11. Okay, so Nurul, can you give me a few minutes just to refresh myself? If any question also.
Okay. So do you have anything more to share? Or we can go to the Q&A session?
No. There are a few other sessions because it is 11. There are review paper, there are how to source. So this is just one portion, okay?
All right, Prof. Take your time.
Yeah, just a few minutes. Let me drink and refresh myself. Okay, just wait. Let me share. Second one. Okay, can you see, Nurul?
Yes, I can see the slide.
Impact factor, right? Okay, so let me start second content on how to source, and there are a few slides only, not much. So first, let me define about the impact factor, because this is how we define high impact. It's basically two things, numerator and denominator. So for last 2 years, how many papers published by a specific journal and how many times cited. As you can see, let's say this is just an example. In 2001 and 2002, there were 300 paper published. That is at the bottom, and at the up, how many times cited. So numerator, denominator divided, we got a factor that is called impact factor. So now we are into 2020. So in 2021, so in 2020 and 2029, how many papers published, let's say by Energy Journal, and how many times cited. So that is actually the definition of impact factor. Bigger is better, but impact factor does not reflect everything. There are some other pros and cons that probably I will give you an answer by ranking. Ranking will give you a better impression because we are working in a specific area. So if rank is in top, among top 10%, top 1%, or top 25%, I think that will make much more sense than impact factor, because sometimes impact factor is high, but ranking is maybe Q2. So that's why ranking is much more important than only impact factor. So of course, if impact factor is also high, ranking is also high, this is where we are looking for. So sometimes impact factor also does not give also the clear picture. So that's why I'm talking about all these things also. High impact journal versus papers. This is particularly important. What is more important for you and us is our paper, not the journal. Journal has very high impact. But we publish a paper, somehow it has been published and it never cited, zero citation. So then basically our works are not good. So that's what I tried to hear, high impact journal versus our own paper. What is the reflection? What is the impact of our own paper? Because journal citation is average. Some papers are cited, some papers are not cited at all. So that is the average impact of the whole content, whole papers published. Whereas if our papers are highly cited, a lot of people use it, I think this is where we need to be focused and we need to be careful. Impact of an individual paper is more important than the journal impact factor. That's what I said. Some papers in a journals are not cited at all. If paper is cited heavily by other authors, this is more valuable than the impact factor of our journal. This is what we should say and we should aim for. That's why the quality is an important. This is very important things. Normally nobody shares and you probably don't know. And what's the hidden recipe and hidden factor also. You see, low impact factor but higher citation. This is evidence I have taken from literature. Okay, so first paper, heat transfer in nanofluids, a review. How many times cited? 1082 times. It is quite huge citation. Whereas the impact factor is 1.703 and it is Q3. Now maybe improve, I'm not sure, but this one just for comparison purpose. There are many cases, such cases like this. You see, even though it is Q3 and impact factor low, but citation is heavy. So this is again part of motivation. Sometimes probably you could not publish in high impact journal, but it is in Q3 or Q4, even maybe some conference paper. I can see recently we published a paper. It's not that strong paper, but I see the citation is already 20 times for this year. So sometimes it happens. So that's why I think you should keep yourself motivated, even though if you cannot publish in high impact journal, even though low impact. But if citation is good, that you should be proud of and you should be happy. So this happens, as you can see, these are the clearly evidence. Okay. So second one, effective thermal conductivity of aqueous suspension. In this case, it was cited 486 times. And again, it is Q4. Okay. Third one, cited 127 times. Okay. And it is also Q3 and Q4. And also it is 2011, not that long time ago. And the last one, no impact factor, but citation is 1099 times. So again, it does not mean that your paper is low, Q3, Q4, but it can be cited as well. So this is where your motivation lies. So you should not give up. You should not stop publishing. You try your best as long as there are qualities. And also there are some other recipes also about the citation. To me, I think as long as there are good quality, minimum quality there, so it will talk on behalf of you after some time. More interestingly, as you can see here, there are papers, science and nature. So there are basically two papers, as you can see. How many times cited? 0 times cited. So we know that these are top-notch journals, science and nature. Definitely. And these are not the true reflection, but there are words which are not cited, which are not useful at all. People did not cite, meaning what does this mean? At least there is an indication that these papers are not that strong and not useful. A paper that is useful, definitely people will cite. But as you know, so these are also sometimes, I should say, review process is also sometimes not perfect. Sometimes good quality papers also rejected by editors. even Science and Nature also, because editors sometimes decide they are not perfect. Okay, they are also a human being. So their thinking maybe sometimes may not be perfect. So meaning that, you see, even though Science and Nature is not cited at all, so you should, even though you published in Q3, Q4 journal and it is cited, I think this is where is importance lies. I mean, our papers are used by others, even though we could not publish in Science and Nature. So you should not give up. You should never stop your publication. So whatever you have, your capability, I would encourage, strongly suggest that you start from Q3, Q4 conference and then slowly raise your bar. So that should be the process. So it does not mean that you should not aim for high, of course, but you should not aim only for Q3 and Q4. So over the time, you should raise your bar. These are also suggestions by the top scientists, top researchers. This is how they also work. So now definition of journal ranking is basically Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 by Web of Science among the top 25% in a specific field. So this is how defined actually in Web of Science. In specific field, let's say we are working in the field of energy and fuels. So there are, let's say, let's say this is one example, right? You see, this is a journal, Progress in Energy and Combustion Science, impact factor 29.394. There are 4 subcategories: thermodynamics, expertise area, energy and fuels, chemical engineering, mechanical engineering. Okay, in the field of thermodynamics, there are 62 journals. Okay, so among the 62, top 25 is ranked as Q1, then top 50, then 75, then 100. This is how they define. This is actually dependent on this number. Okay, how many total numbers there? So based on that, actually defined is this top 25%, top 50, top 70, top 100%. It is dependent on this total number, 62 in the field of thermodynamics. In the field of subcategories energy and fuels, there are 114. So it depends from area to area, from specialized topics to another specialized topic. So it can vary every year. Okay, so this number 114, 143, 135. So this is based on this number. Actually, these are defined: the Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4, and it is automatic in the Web of Science. You don't need to calculate. I'll show you how to find that whether this is Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4, and the ranking in one of the slides. Okay, this is what I think the Nurul asked me, and it is important to understand also the ranking and the impact factor and the percentile. Okay, so now let me discuss here. This is important slide. Normally these are not discussed, and I guess some of the researchers even does not know what does this mean, this ranking and specialized area. So this is a high impact journal, review journal. Normally review journals are highly cited and high impact in our field, energy and health area. As you can see, impact factor is 29.394. Over the year, it is increasing. So it has 4 subcategories, I mean sub areas: thermodynamics, energy and fuels, chemical engineering, mechanical engineering. In the thermodynamics, there are 62 journals, and this is number 1. Okay, so of course, definitely this is what we call in the area of thermodynamics. This is number 1, top 1%. Okay, so this is where sometimes if you do these types of analysis, particularly academicians, students, if you manage to publish in this number 1 journal, then I think you should highlight during your promotion, during your viva, that this is the journal where I published. Its impact factor is such and such, but at the same time, this is number 1. And this is the area I'm working in, the area of thermodynamics. So normally we work in a specialized area. So in that area, if it is number 1, this is where we should be proud of, because we published a paper where it is number 1. It is the top 1%. Okay, and it is not an easy task here. So this is where I think the ranking and the impact factor slightly different. I mean, how we should highlight our achievement, why we really someone got. For example, somebody published in Science and Nature, we know. But everybody cannot publish in Science and Nature, but it is possible to publish here in this area. Okay, so this is how we can rank, we can define the rank and importance of ranking. Now, same journal is ranked in the area of energy and fuels. It is number 4, but still again, it is also good position. It is 4th in this area. It is 2nd in the chemical engineering. It is again 1st in mechanical engineering. So let's say we are mechanical engineer. We are working and published one paper in this journal. So it is number 1. So we should be proud. Okay, even though it are not published in Science and Nature, which is impact factor maybe 50 or 60, but still we can publish within our boundary in the top ranked journal. So this is what I try to define it here. This is slightly higher impact factor, but let's say now is the energy. It is impact factor is 7.147. Okay, almost 4 times lower than that one. Okay, progress in energy and combustion science. But again, you see that in the field of thermodynamics, it is ranked 3, and reasonably, I think it is also quite high among the 62 journal. This is ranked 3. This is where we can talk more of our achievement, particularly the students during the promotion. These are the things that I'm sure that you can impress the committee members by doing this, because you are working your PhD topics in the area of thermodynamics. Okay, and this journal you published in the energy, it is 3rd. So definitely this makes some sense, and a heavy weightage should be provided there. So this is how it is different from impact factor and the ranking. I think we should understand this ranking also. We should highlight also wherever possible. We published among the top 10%. I think UPM published their top 10% researcher who published among the top 10%. They do the analysis and they also publicize in their website. Okay, I think that's a good approach. I'm not sure whether UPM has this. These are the to encourage. I think that also will motivate researchers that, oh, my paper is published among the top 10%. Okay, top 10% again is, I think, something we should be proud of if we can publish there. Okay, and in energy and fuels, it is 15. Still, I would say this is Q1. Okay, in the applied energy, it is slightly higher impact factor than energy. But again, you can see it is rank 6, rank 9. So these are some additional analysis probably along with impact factor, along with Q1. This ranking is normally missing. Normally we don't do the analysis. I think student and academician also should understand this ranking. And this how can be done? Now I'll be talking in this slide. Okay, so now how to identify the journal in the Web of Science and ranking and topics, and also, as you know, your paper will be rejected many, many times. These are the common phenomena, common approaches nowadays. Desk rejection, rejection with all reviewers, so you always will face. Even my papers sometimes rejected in 7 or 8 times, even after publication of so many papers. These are normal. You have to accept that. And I would say failure is always a pillar of success or to make you better. So rejection is part of our life. So who was not rejected? You know, the Abraham Lincoln, how many times he failed? Okay, so for me, how many times I failed? So when we started to work during our childhood, how many times we failed before started to learn? Okay, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, we don't know. Definitely number of times. How much times took for us to be engineer, to be doctor, to be scientist, right? So these are the process. So we cannot deny, we cannot ignore. So at the same time, when it is rejected, meaning that we need to be improved. It is not failure. Okay, it is basically way to improve. And in our academic life, in our what is called outcome-based education, we call it CQI, continuous quality improvement. Very nice term, very interesting term, right? If we take that in a positive way, that we need to really improve. Nobody is perfect. So that's basically you are an editors are trying. So now many times our papers are rejected. So what is the way to find? Again, this is the way. So you go to the Web of Science. You go to the Web of Science and then you put your keyword. So you can put your university name here. You can put the topics. As you can see here, you can put the search term, topics, author, editor, author identifier. So these are the things. I think normally library gives you a training how to search using Scopus, Web of Science, And these are not difficult things. Students easily can learn, young researchers easily can learn. Even I also learned. This is how I'm giving you the training, sharing my experience also. So you change actually this topic here as a tab button, actually, okay. I think the scroll down button, or if you press there, actually these things will come. Topics, author. So you are looking for a journal, okay. In that case, I think the publication name you should put, and then you should title that, type that exactly what is the title name. Let's say the energy. If you put that title, publication name, and in the topics, you put the publication name, and then you click the search button, you will find that journal. Once you find that journal, then you can find its impact factor, ranking, percentile, and so on. And also, if you put a topic and you put some search term or keyword, actually a lot of things will come, and from there you can find source title. Source title is basically name of the publication. So you are facing difficulties to submit one journal to another journal. This will give you an indication. There are alternative hundreds of journals. Okay, you see their scope, you read their author's guideline, and again, these are some of the alternatives. I mean, you have to keep a lot of journal in your basket, in your pocket. This is how we do, and we are also experienced. And also the role of collaboration. Sometimes if you don't know, you invite collaborators. You invite other people also, so that they can guide you because they are experienced. So these are the ways to overcome rejection of many times. One is keep alternative list of journals, search through Scopus, Web of Science, discuss with supervisor, work with team members, work with collaborators, those who are in the topic. So that's why when you face difficulties, junior researcher, invite a prolific researcher, those who are top in that field, maybe in other university, locally and internationally, seek his feedback, invite him to join in that paper to improve further so that you can publish in high impact journal, or you are facing some difficulties. This is how other researchers approach to me. So they face difficulties after submitting so many journals, and they are tired, they are fed up, and they invite me. And this is how I help them also. I polish them, I improve them, I suggest them what would be the possible journal. Also, I know in scientific publication, some journals are very strict, some journals are very, very difficult. Some are moderate, some are lenient, and some are quite easy. As you know, we human beings, some people are very easy, some people are moderate, some are very strict and harsh. So similarly in publication domain also, some editors, very professional, very helpful, whereas some are, never will reply your email, will not entertain you. So these are again learning curve, experience, and these are the ways, approaches also to overcome all these challenges. Okay, so once you have this information, for example, you got a journal, mechanical journal, or journal of International Society of Sports. Okay, so these are the journal. If you click, this pop-up button will come out with the, you see the impact factor, and you see the what I presented in the earlier slide. Okay, so category, nutrition and dietetics. So it's 32 rank. This is the ranking, 32 of 83, and it is Q2. So same journal can be Q1 in one category, can be Q2 in another category. But overall, I think the best one is accepted. This is what I have seen in some universities. So in sports sciences, because it depends on the ranking and number. Okay, so it is 13. So that's why it is among the top 25%, and it is not among the top 25% out of 83, 32 out of 83. So that's why it is Q2. So same journals can be Q2 and Q1 on the different categories. Again, it depends on how many journals are there and what is the rank in that category. So that's why the ranking is also need to be learned, need to be shared, and need to explore a bit more understanding along with the impact factor and percentile. Okay, so this is how you need to search. I think this is the pen. I think time to time they also update this information. These are learning process. I think student can learn easily and then can share with their supervisor, and library also can give the training. I think the Nurul can request also library to give a bit more training on this, how to search through Web of Science, Scopus, some other tools also for better searching purposes, optimization tools also. I think it will be good for the students. Maybe one hands-on, maybe 1 hour. You can arrange with, since you are coordinator, you are organizing these things, should be there along with publication ethics and some other things also. Okay, so that's all about ranking. So I tried to present some new useful information in the second presentation. So I'll be moving into now last portion into how to write a review paper. That was requested by Nurul, and also I think that's a pertinent topics given the pandemic situation. And also there are many other reasons also why we need to publish review paper. Can you see the slides? Nurul, do you confirm?
You can see the slide.
Okay. So 1 minute. Okay, thank you for the patience. So you can see this is basically not only for writing a review paper or original paper. As you can see, there are a number of people in front of you to protect you, to stop you, to me, not stop, to ensure the quality. So there are supervisors, there are collaborators, there are reviewers trying to stop you so that you ensure the quality. So at the different stages, supervisor will check and see whether there are qualities or not. Your collaborators, your friends, colleagues, okay? So they will be checking your quality, and at the end, it will be accepted. So you see, it's not an easy task, but if you are well trained, if you know the tricks and tips, as I highlighted in original paper, I think it is not that difficult to publish something in from Q4 to Q1 because in my view, UTM has a lot of resources. They have strategies. They have a lot of good things. They provide scholarships. So as long as you have some basic things, so publication is not basically a difficult thing. So when I was a young researcher, like simply a lecturer, I did not have funding. I did not have student, but yeah, I converted undergraduate students' thesis into journal and still managed to publish in Q1 journals at that time. So it's not only universities' policy strategies. I think as an academician, we also need to be serious. We need to be strategic. We need to develop our own policies, optimization of our time. A lot of things also basically comes from us also as a researcher, as an academician. So in my view, basically it is not hard thing to publish even in seminar, conference paper, Q3, Q4. This is how you can train yourself, and then obviously once you are well trained, Q3, Q4 paper, published number of good quality paper, then you can try a good proposal, you can get some students, you can talk with the management, okay, and then you can work with the team. Obviously, the teamwork is very important. For example, I have offered from Sanwe University that, we can help you overcome to solve this problem. So, for example, when I was in I got an IRPA funding 120,000, but I need an equipment that is 500,000. So my money is so little, so how to solve the problem? Then again, the rule of collaboration came out. So after searching, I found that that equipment is available to someone else. Okay, and as a result, we invited him as a collaborator, and at the end, we successfully completed the project. So this is how, since at Sano University or somewhere else, maybe there are already available equipment, facilities, just initiate the collaboration, just talk with them, you offer your collaboration, maybe you have students, but you don't have lab equipment facilities. So you talk with them, you discuss with them, I think it will be a win-win situation. This is how, when I joined Sano University, at that time, we did not have PhD program, we did not have the lab, but I approached that we are building lab, I have experience, so let's work together. And I managed to supervise with Taylor's University, with UTP, with UTM, UMP, and as a result, that it is double benefit for them and for us also, So this is how rule of collaboration is very important for long-term sustaining research. Okay, so now let me move into how to write a review paper. Its pros and cons. It is an important area, and given the pandemic situation, I think it is very important for us to know how to write review paper and what is important. Why review paper? What is the review paper? How to write a review paper? Is there any challenges? So these are the few questions answer I will try to provide through this presentation. So improving knowledge. So when you are entering into a new topic, so for example, you have done your undergraduate heat transfer, energy, materials, but thesis is something different. Thesis is on a specific topics. Okay, so you need to improve your knowledge. This is the first thing. So to improve your knowledge, there are research methodology. That one is general topics. In some universities or in North American style, actually they have courses. But in Malaysia, in most cases, we don't have theoretical courses. So that's why writing a review paper or working on literature will basically help you to improve your knowledge. So what I want to say, working or reading, digesting a literature will basically help you to improve your knowledge. So when I give the task to a new students, those who are new enrolled for 2 to 3 months, we ask them to focus on writing a review paper. Once they publish and they themselves tells us that, sir, now I become more confident on the topic because I have read all those things, I have published a paper, so now I feel more confident to design, to identify my experimental design and so on. So I think it is very important to improve your knowledge. This helps to build confidence on the topic, as I mentioned. This is also a useful part of your master's, PhD thesis, and critical review of literature. So whenever we are going to write our master's, PhD thesis, so literature is important part. So if we know how to critically analyze, how to critically review, so in other hand, this also will be somehow helping to write your master's thesis and PhD thesis, because literature is part of your PhD and master's thesis, and specific chapter is on literature review, as we know. So while we are reading literature, basically that literature has introduction part, methodology part, experimental design part, result and discussion section part. So when we are basically a new researcher need to design experiment. So how he or she is going to design experiment? Of course, supervisor will help, will guide, but student also need to learn about the design parameter, design of the experiment, details of how what has been done in the literature. So again, this literature also help you to design your experiment in a more professional way, in a more better way, more appropriate way, at least to gain your knowledge, how to develop your, how to design your experiment. Due to COVID and those who don't have lab, review can be a good option for them, as Nurul highlighted, and also this is also my advice and suggestion, because something is better than nothing. We can do so, but writing a review paper, you don't need to go to lab. Okay, you just need to get the access of your library. Okay, I think that one from remote access, it is available. So you download the paper, you try to understand, and today I'm giving you the lecture. There are other seminars also going on, so you can learn from YouTube also. There are some topics in the YouTube also available on writing original paper, review paper. You can constantly learn, and you can follow some good model review paper also. This is how it can help you to write a review paper. So I think this is a good time to write a review paper, helping researcher by summarizing 300, 500 references. So this is why actually the review papers are highly cited, because reading 300, 500 papers sometimes time consuming. Maybe it will take 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whereas by writing a review paper, we are helping some other researchers actually to optimize their time. So when I want to develop new projects, write a new proposal, actually I download few review paper that basically helps me to identify the topics, novelty, and I don't need to read each and every 300, 400 papers, because I'm academician. I don't have that much time to read and digest 300, 500 papers. So that's why that paper is useful to me, and in some cases for researcher also, and that's why basically it helps to optimize researcher time. So that's why sometimes the research gap is there. Some of the important informations are summarized. So as a result, review paper are highly used by others and cited. Okay, that is very clear, crystal clear, and I'm going to share with you through some analysis from my own experience and also the Scopus analysis. So as you have seen, so 300, 500 papers, if you read only one papers, maybe 60 pages, 70 pages, so definitely this will help you to optimize your time. Okay, this also helps to identify the novelty, as I mentioned at the user directions. There are normally highlighted what has not been done, what can be done in user. Okay, so as you can see here, review papers are normally much more higher citations compared to original article, as you can see. Okay, so this is a paper, Hallmark of a Cancer, Next Generation. It was published in 2011, and it was cited almost 53,000 times. Only one paper. Okay, this is a review paper and strategically well-written paper, and also hot topics. Cancer is a hot topics, very niche area. So citation is dependent on many factors. One of them is writing a strategic review paper, topics, niche area, collaboration, breakthrough. So that's why the science, nature, basically the breakthrough research. So that's why they are cited heavily. And also the generalized topics for generalized audience, broader audience. So review paper actually is also for broader audience. So that's why they are also highly cited compared to original article. As you can see, original article I published in 2002, only 18 times cited. So less citation. Okay. So this is analysis by Scopus. So that's why review paper is useful, as we have seen here. These are the usefulness indicator. Why you need to publish review paper. It's not only citation, there are many other benefits also. But of course, if we convert them into a paper, so we also have side benefit as a citation impact, which also benefits universities' reputation, visibilities. As you know, almost 30% weightage is for citation impact. So this is also my practice. As you know, I supervise many students at the initial stage for many purposes, for their thesis, for the critical review of literature, to published in review paper, to identify the novelty, to improve their knowledge, for many reasons. At the same time, also we give them focus also at the end of 2 to 3 months. You have to come up with a draft review paper. So this helps them in different way, and particularly we write very strategic review paper. As you can see, one paper published in 2011, very strategic review paper. We put a lot of effort, and as a result, it was cited, I think, more than 1,500 times, only one paper. And previously also, as you have seen, one paper, Hallmark of Cancer, it is not my paper, someone else's paper, only one paper, 53,000 times cited, whereas my whole lifelong citation is 42,000 times. So as you can see, topic, strategically written review paper is also. That's why when you write a review paper, write it strategically, okay, and very important in a broad way. That's why you need some model paper also. Okay, so why citation is important, as you have seen its importance, why you need to write review paper. But why citation is important? So it is, to me, I think when other people use our work, I normally attend many others lecture also. Yesterday also I attended one lecture by some other world-renowned researcher. They also mentioned that if your paper is used by others, I think this is where it is important. Okay, because without self-citation, without citation manipulation, if our works are used by others, meaning that it is useful. Okay, whether it is original work, whether it is review work, because review paper also, it is not an easy to write. Okay, it is not unethical, and as you have seen, review papers impact factor is also very high. So we cannot undermine, because a lot of efforts are needed, and sometimes I feel writing review paper is more tedious, difficult than original paper. We are going to write a conference paper. It's so easy. With 1 or 2 parameters, we can write it, but writing a review paper is not that easy. It's very difficult, and in some cases, we also fail with some of our team members. So to me, I think when other people use it heavily, so it is something we should be proud of because it is helpful for them. Okay, so it is an indicator of usefulness of one's work. Very important for ranking criteria. So as you know, this ranking phenomenon is all over the world. We cannot deny, we cannot ignore, even though it has pros and cons, it has drawbacks. Everywhere, we human beings, we are not perfect. So in my view, whatever good things in ranking, let's accept. What is not good, let's raise our voice, let's let them improve, write something, prepare something so that you need to improve. So that's the best way. If you are not happy, you write it to your management. These are not good things in ranking. So let's raise this voice to the concerned authority. So that should be the much more better or appropriate way rather than ignoring or undermining or just in a wholesale saying that ranking is not good things. These are the wrong things. Of course, each and every aspect has positive side, negative side, good aspect. For example, ranking also includes the employability. So if UTM students are 95% employed, I think this is a good indicators. And they published in good quality journal, that should be also. So of course, there are some of the things like in academic reputation, need to provide contact and so on. So there are some pros and cons. So that one we can raise our voice through our concerned authority. So in a word, I want to say that yes, there are good things. Let's accept all those things. Let's practice all those things, and those which are not good, not productive, negative sides there, dark side there, we raise our voice to the concerned authority so that it can be improved. That's my stance about the ranking. But of course, we are academicians or students. We need to support in that case. We don't have any other option other than working with their mission and vision and so on. Can be internationally recognized researcher. As you can see, there are highly cited research and also the highly cited papers. Some universities, as you have seen when I was in University of Malaya, they also have accumulation citation award, and I got this 4 consecutive years. And at Sun University also, they have the research award. So these are the things also, I mean, for motivation, there are some incentives provided some of the universities also to support universities' mission and vision, and so on. Need for promotion also, they also will be looking for your at least at higher ranking position, associate professor, these are the things also they count. So that's why I think you need to be careful, not only listening the negative people because they can be negative, but during your promotion, they may not help you because this is set by the university, you cannot avoid. They will not listen during your promotion. No, I don't like these things. Okay, these are the negative things. So definitely they will not listen. So you have to be careful for your future also. Okay, and highly cited research are rewarding. So of course there are reward, as you can see. To me, I think as long as these are done in ethically, professionally, quality ensured, I think then this should be counted and due rewards, recognition, acknowledgement always should be given by the concerned authority. That is my stance. Of course, if there are unprofessionalism, unethical things there, of course there are ethical bodies in the publisher, in the university level, and can be handled. Okay, if somebody did something wrong. Okay, so that's why we have armed forces, we have police forces to protect the country. Similarly, to maintain the integrity, professionalism, again, there are systems. Let's go through that way if somebody has done something wrong. And we also need to create awareness. Okay, so here I want to highlight also, it is not good approach just to focus on the review paper. Now we are at pandemic situation. I think it is the right time to focus to publish at review papers on the review paper because you cannot go left. It is better, rather than being empty, rather than doing nothing. A good researcher should have original. So as a researcher, I think we should have a balanced amount of work, should contain our CV, original paper, review paper, conference paper, analytical paper, computational, I mean all aspects, maybe keynote speech, along with patent, IP, product development, as I highlighted at the initial stage also, we should have all the aspects. Okay, so that will make your career balanced, okay? Patent, IP, product, at least technology readiness level, contribution to the society, like I'm giving a talk, you also can give a talk, contribution to the society. I mean, public engagement, public speaking. So all these things basically an academician researcher should have. It's not only paper, journal paper, they also should teach. They also should be excellent in teaching also to help the students also can do research in the teaching side also, outcome-based education also, project-based education also. A lot of things can be done and can be converted into, the tangible outcome, service, and so on. A good researcher academician should also secure grant, supervise students, teach effectively, contribute to the society, knowledge diffusion, and so on. So this actually will make us an excellent academician or better academician. It's not only one focus. We should, maybe someone is very good at publication, someone maybe at the product, that should be, but at the same time, they also should do some other things also. I mean, should have balanced types of activities. As long as it is done professionally and ethically, as I mentioned, there is no issue in writing a review paper. And citation is also not dependent. Also, I want to highlight here, citation is not only dependent on review paper, but also breakthrough. That's what is reflected in Science and Nature. As you know, without breakthrough, it is hard to publish in Science and Nature or extremely top-notch journal, publication platform also, like LCBR and some new publisher, actually it will not be that much cited. Journal rankings, collaboration, topics, many things basically involved in citation impact. So it's not only review paper, but review paper, strategically review paper also contributes in citation impact. We need to understand citation impact. Okay, so that there are pitfalls also. I don't have time because citations are also abused, sometimes self-citation, sometimes editors, reviewer ask their own paper to be cited. So a lot of unprofessionalism is also going on. So you can find all those in my YouTube presentation. That's why I showed where you can find some supplementary additional materials, because one day or half day never will be enough to discuss each and every aspects of publication. So you can find them in YouTube. You can put my name in YouTube, and a lot of informations are there under my name. You can find, you can read all those. So what is a review paper is basically almost anything, typically recent work, is summarizing, analyzing, evaluating, synthesizing. So these are basically keywords will define a review paper. So there should be summary, there should be analyze, evaluate, synthesis. So these are basically, in a word, scientists, researchers defined as critical review. Okay, so that is basically as a summary, analyze, evaluate, synthesize. Okay, so this is how is defined as the critical review of literature. So please take note that it is critical review of literature. So basically it's the summary of someone else's work, 20, 30 papers, 200 papers, 300 papers. You also analyze their results. You also evaluate strengths and weaknesses. Okay, what are the good things? What are the bad things? What are the advantages? Disadvantages, basically you are evaluating what they have done, something good, something positive, and what they have not done, synthesizing. So these are the important things, how we define or call it critical review of literature. Must be general and broad. That's why it is cited, it is used by others. No one has reported before. Again, this review also something new, different compared to other review papers. You are not going to reinvent the same wheel. Otherwise, reviewer will make the comments that there are already papers, similar papers. So how it is different? Okay, so it is something like the original paper, how it is different from other papers. And you should not publish original data here, no original work. Okay, so this is summary, analyze, evaluate, synthesis of others' work, and also you published your work. Let's say you are a prolific author. You have 20 papers on that topics. You can include. This is not self-citation because you are an expert in this case. In this case, self-citation is a legitimate approach compared to original paper. In original paper, all your paper you cited not relevant. Basically, you are trying to increase self-citation. But nowadays, in Scopus, in Web of Science, you can check, how much self-citation. Definitely, recruiting agency and others can check how much self-citation. I have seen some people self-citation 60%, 70%. definitely this will be a negative impression. But in case of a review paper, this is a legitimate approach because you are an expert. You are citing your work, meaning that you are an expert. Without that, normally the reviewer editor also asks, can you send your CV? There he will see that how many relevant papers are there. So this is where you can cite your own work in a legitimate way. But works that has not been published, your original work, don't submit it here. Okay, so description of your topic area supported by references. I think I explained, summarize, discussion, critical analysis. So I think I will repeat these things. So always it is better. So initially you read some papers, maybe 5 to 10 papers or 20 papers, as many as you needed. These are our practice. And once you have read some of the papers, and maybe there are 10 papers are relevant, based on that, you come out with this is what we call the skeleton, or most importantly, I think the table of content. That one I missed. I asked my students to come up with the table of content. Basically, what would be the overall content, like when we write our thesis. Okay, so these are basically structure, like original paper, there should be title and authors. It should be similar like original paper. I'll not talk much. Abstract keyword nomenclature. So table of content is important basically. So when you have read some of the papers, digested literature, then I ask normally my students to come up with table of content. Of course, it will not be perfect. I will give my comments, my team members will give comments, and as a result, we can develop a better table of contents after maybe 2 weeks or maybe 1 month. And then from that table of content, we subsequently progress to develop the whole paper. It also should contain the introduction, like similar like original paper. It should have a literature review part also, but normally review paper does not have a very well organized structure. So that's why it is better to discuss about the important thing is the main body, where actually you can embed literature, methodology part, result discussion, each and every details actually you can put in the main body. Okay, so basically it does not have any well structure. Sometimes methodology part also you can consider there, because how they generated data, all those others method you can summarize, and also how you develop your paper, how many papers, relevant paper you downloaded you from Science Direct, from Web of Science. So I mean, a collection of data also can be some sorts of methodology can be there, and critically analyze others work in the form of tables and figures. Okay. So as I mentioned, the best way to get a published paper, model paper, that will help you to guide you to write a paper. Okay. So critical review of literature. So you have literature through search, you got them, you learn them. So then you write your own note. Don't write copy and paste, because from PDF you can easily write copy and paste. But as you know, there are tools like Turnitin, Authenticate can easily detect content similarity. So it is always better, in my view, broken write-up, your own way write-up is much more better than just copy and paste, because sometimes you may forget. Sometimes this software also cannot detect. I have seen in some cases. So computer tool has deficiency as well. Manually, you need to check also. Sometimes like references, you cannot avoid. So it also shows that contents are similar. Sometimes our affiliation, some of the terms like heat transfer, all these are manually also need to check. And as a result, I think, in my view, writing your own way is always better, even though it is broken. Always keep the references when you write a draft something and list them. So these are some of the draft way of searching, learning, write, and list, systematic way. So I think that I'll be a little bit faster, tell the readers what is your paper is all about. Title of the manuscripts need to be short. I think I explained all those things here. So here the title should be catchy, and also should be strategic. Like in our case, we put the global energy policy. So I put some of the catchy word. Global means whereas I'm putting some materials for Malaysia in certain section, but at the same time, I focus on the global who has done around the world. As a result, you know that I'm addressing the broader audience, and many people, other people also will read, and it will be beneficial, and it is also a case study for all over the world, also the comparison. So this is how we can make it for a broader audience. So something different from original work. Original work normally for confined space, confined people, confined area, whereas review paper is for broader. So that's why you will see some of my papers, global review on energy policy. So I tried to put a catchy word like global here. Sometimes maybe emerging materials or emerging technologies. Okay, so as you can see here, a review of global wind energy policy. Biodiesel production is very broad. A review of solar photovoltaic technologies. So this is how progress and recent trends. Okay, so what has been done for last few years. These are also some ways, some of the things are written in review paper. Abstract, I think it's similar like original paper. I write that way, but might be broader. So some of the keywords also should be there. Introduction is similar, aim, purpose. Okay, appropriate references should be provided. Okay, so I'll be a bit faster. So I think research gap also important. So this is where you need to do it systematically. As you can see, there are references 8, references 9. There are 2 references basically has been highlighted that what they have done and what is something new in this. Unlike the above mentioned review studies, this paper provides a comprehensive review of how different technologies can be used to minimize different negative effects. So he has done something differently. Okay, this is here they have highlighted. So what were the content of the other review papers? So maybe there are some similar review paper that you are going to write, publish. So you read them and then you differentiate how your review paper will be different compared to their papers. So this is how you can convince, you can highlight the novelty or research gap of your review paper. So source of literature, I think you have in the library. It is always better. Otherwise, if you have not explored all the relevant literature references, I think there will be comments. So you try your best to explore all the databases to get all the relevant papers so that none of them are unexplored. Otherwise, a reviewer particularly will ask you to cite some of the papers. So this is important. I think the main body, basically methodology part can be there, literature part can be there. So we all combine here, including critical analysis and discussion. There is no any specific format for writing a review paper. So I think that's why where you are aiming to submit, you follow some model paper, how they have written, what is their structure. But to me, most important thing is that critical review of literature. So it can be short, it can be brief, it can be mini. Once you are prolific, so then you can write a comprehensive. But if you are new, I think if you are not that strong in challenging situations, so that's why I suggest start with Q3, Q4 conference paper also. So in that case, short paper, mini review paper also you can prepare, and you can try, you can learn, you can train yourself. That is basically is writing a short review paper. It is also possible. You can publish in conference also, review paper is possible. I think during this pandemic, short mini review paper that can be published in conference also. This will help you also to improve your knowledge. So I think this will be a good option during this pandemic situation. So these are again, sometimes it is easy in some journals. So again, these are the experience. That's why rule of collaboration, working with the supervisor, working with the good team also important. They can help you. So I will be spending a few minutes on this, how to write the critical review. I think you need to spend a lot of time on addressing this, addressing and understanding. I don't think that it is enough. My lecture will help you to understand each and everything. What is the definition of critical review of literature? I think it is very important for you, for your thesis, for your writing review paper, critical review. This term, I think you should learn a bit more to understand and to practice this critical review of literature. So I'll give some examples. This can be done by providing some figures. This is one example. As you can see, there are maybe 10 references. They are data actually in the form of figure. Okay, so there are x-axis, there are y-axis. Okay, so this has been plotted on results. This data probably there is a software get data from there. Actually, you can extract some of the data, and then you can plot. So this is called the critical review using some other literatures. We are also analyzing. So this is one approach of critical review of literature in the form of figures. Sometimes they also publish, the figure number A, B, C, and D from different sources with the provided reference number and also the copyright. This one basically you analyze, you have extracted data from different references and you plot them. You see the trend, and then also important thing is not only drawing this figure, but you need to critically analyze strength, weakness. That is basically reasoning phenomena, strength, weakness, advantage, disadvantage, drawbacks, discussion. Critical discussion should be also there. So this is another way also you can see the trend, different references are provided here. Another way of critical review of others' work, as you can see. These are the tables. So as you can see, there are many parameters. One of them is the references. These are basically, I call them parameters: particle size, particles, types of the particles, nanoparticles, their size, what type of base fluid is used, and importantly, what are the observations, limitations, and findings, as you can see here. And this also sometimes helps to identify your novelty. What are the things in your original work actually? These are the drawbacks, these are the limitations also help you to identify your novelty and also to focus something that you are going to do in your original work. Okay, so this is how review paper also help you to identify future directions and novelties. So this is in the form of a table. Okay, and of course you need to critically discuss some of the parameters, some of the things, because you cannot discuss each and everything through these tables. Okay, so this is another tables, call it findings, limitations, drawbacks, so on. So here again also should have conclusion of review conclusion, what you have found. You write them here. It's not a major section, so you follow again a good model paper, how they have written findings based on review findings, review results. You have summarized here. That's the findings. Again, the ethics, I think when you write a review paper, there are a lot of copy and paste, so plagiarism can be an issue. Figures, you are taking from someone else's figure, so you need to get the copyright permission. It's not only references, so a lot of other issues also involved. Check the content similarity by Turnitin, Authenticate. This also helps to improve. Sometimes maybe your references are missing, so this also helps you to identify which references are used. So content similarity for review paper normally depends on the journal editor. Normally for review paper it will be slightly higher, maybe 20%, 25%. Again, there is no exact figure. It depends on journal to journal, editor to editor, university to university. So as long as normally content similarity less than 1% is always better. So if any content similarity is more than 5%, I think that is quite wrong things, detrimental things, not good things. So you always try to reduce the content when there is something, one content is 5%, another content is 10%. This is where you need to pay attention. If content similarity is less than 1%, I think we should not be much worried in that case. So this is how we need to address the content similarity. Normally Turnitin or content similarity software will tell you this content is 10% similar with that others work. This content is 20%. This content is 50%. Okay, and also sometimes if it is loaded in content similarity, don't put into the server. Otherwise, your own paper will show that it is completely similar. So this happens also sometimes 100% similar. It happens. So you need to learn also how to use all those content similarity software. Copyright, I think EndNote is also that, because you are writing a review paper. Is very difficult. So managing using EndNote is really must for you to learn and to apply. This is also good when you are going to submit another journal. So just change the journal name and it will automatically change the format. But the computer tool has some missing. This is our experience as an examiner of thesis. Also, the reviewer we found EndNote also has some drawbacks. So that's why at the end you need to check the manually also. Otherwise, there will be some mistakes, some error, and there will be some comments. So we have seen these are the drawbacks of computer tools. So that's why manual checkings are also needed to make it perfect or better. So challenges in submitting review paper. Again, I think these are the traits of a good researcher. As you know, my papers are rejected many times and mentioned. You know, the Abraham Lincoln failed many times. So we basically need to be steadfast, never give up. We need to be patient, and also in our religion, in Islam also, so it's mentioned in many times in Quran, more than 90 times, that we have to bear patience. So now also a very difficult situation. I think pandemic, everybody is in stress, difficult situation. I think it's very important in all religions. I think it is patience, resilience, emotional intelligence. I think these are very important things, some psychological term also. We need to keep ourselves busy during this difficult time. So basically we need to be steadfast, patience, never give up. If you want to be a prolific researcher, you will fail many times, but inshallah, Almighty will make you successful in other occasions. So in our case, in one day or in 1 week, maybe we receive 10 good news, 2 rejected news. Again, this is balance. This is how life. So nobody is perfect. Okay, sometimes we hear the good news, sometimes bad news. These are our part of life. So that's why I think these are the important things, not only for research, I think for our family life, for our work life. So patience, perseverance, resilience, emotional intelligence. I think we need to practice, we need to learn also. I'm also learning all those things so that we can control our emotions, our anger, our stress, so that we can better serve our society, our family, and so on. Sometimes rejected many times. So that's why I think I showed you how to find alternative journals through Web of Science, Scopus, and also through the collaborations. Writing a review paper is more challenging than writing an original paper. So that's why you need to learn maybe from the mini review paper and slowly, and also work with prolific authors, those who are already experienced, invite them as a collaboration. I think the rule of collaboration is also very important for writing original paper, for sharing resources, and also writing the review paper. They can help you also some of your overcome some of your challenges. Challenging comments from editors, reviewers. So in one occasion, editor and reviewer asked that you go to school and learn how to write papers. You know, so even after publishing so many papers, so we have to take them positively. These are learning process. Editors can write, can make very harsh comments because there are professional reviewers, there are unprofessional reviewers. There are also your competitors. There are also your enemies, I should say. You know, we are human beings. So when we grow, all these things are there. So that's why I think if we be professional, if we bear patience, I think we can overcome all those challenges. Sometimes lack of expertise. So that's why you need the collaboration can help overcome all the challenges. Identify alternatives. I think this is how I showed you through Scopus, Web of Science, and collaboration. Experienced people can help overcome some of the challenges. Okay, that's all. Okay, thank you very much for your time, attention. Okay, I am in the right time. I think 12:15. So another 15 minutes, we can talk about the Q&A. I'm sure, of course, you have so many questions, but let's try as many as possible. Okay, Nurul, so it's your time to raise the questions, okay?
Okay, thank you very much for Saidur for a very informative and enlightening talk. So you have covered all elements that are required in publishing an article in high impact journals, from building motivation to write, creating innovative minds, and how to entice readers with catchy titles, how to convince readers on the importance and uniqueness of our work, and then how to define SMART objective, address originality of our study, and of course the importance of collaboration, and how to identify the high impact journals in Scopus as well as in WOS. Prof also discussed on how to write review papers, which can help us to maintain our writing motivation and enthusiasm, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic, where most of us are not allowed to conduct an experiment in the lab. So writing a review paper is one way for us to keep writing. Okay, so I hope the information gathered during the talk provides the audience with a clear understanding on how to start publishing or writing in high impact journals. I will now open the floor for any questions, and I have actually collected some questions from the chat box. Okay, so some questions from the chat box. One is from Muhammad Ayub. How to clearly differentiate between abstract, conclusion, or summary of an article is very confusing and repetition of words. Prof, you want me to read all of it or one by one? You can answer.
Okay, one by one. If I can read, that would be better. Okay. So the first question, the difference between abstract, conclusion, summary. I think I explained, but I repeat. This always happen because we human beings sometimes we don't understand. Okay, let me repeat it again. So abstract and summary. I should say same thing. Is the summary of your whole work. So as you have seen in the abstract, what is the ingredient content? So if you see background information, 1 or 2 sentences on background information, 1 or 2 sentences on objectives, 1 or 2 sentences on methodology, 1 or 2 sentences on result, and finally conclusion is just one sentence or one part of that abstract. Basically, what I should say, you are bringing 1 or 2 sentences from your whole paper. That is summary of your paper. Abstract is basically summary in the form of you should contain a few sentences on background information, objectives, methodology, result, discussion, and conclusion. That is about the abstract and summary. Conclusion is related with the objectives. You have the objectives, and now conclusion is basically the concrete achievements or findings. Concrete achievement and findings of your objectives. So I give the examples. So I found that this method is the best method compared to other methods. Our method is cheaper. This nanofluid helped to improve the efficiency 50% than the available literature. So these are basically the concrete achievement, concrete findings, and these are conclusions. So I hope this answers Muhammad Ayub's question, right? Okay, so second question, can Prof give comment a bit about how to write a review paper? I think, yeah, that's what I have done, right? That was maybe earlier stage. Okay, could you give any tips to enhance the problem statement? Again, this is important thing for thesis and for paper also. This is where actually you need to dig out the literature. If you dig out the literature, for example, in our case, we know that we use in heat exchanger water. Okay, what is the problem with the water? Problem with the water that its heat transfer rate or thermal conductivity is very poor. So how this can be done? This can be done by suspending nanoparticles. So that's why you need to study the literature. What is the problem in the literature? And then how you are going to overcome the solution. This is how you need to write the problem statement. Better you read some relevant thesis, ProQuest, digital dissertation. It's clearly written there how to write a problem statement. And also in Yahoo, Google, you search how to write a better problem statement. What should be in the problem statement? This also will guide you to write a better problem statement when you are going to write your thesis, your paper in the next time. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so next one, Khairul Hafiz. normally for conference paper, they call for paper submission and ask for abstract submission first. Is it okay if I submit the abstract without writing full paper first and the paper not yet reviewed? Yeah, these are the practice. Normally the extended abstract, I don't see anything wrong. Yes, you fulfill their requirement, you submit extended abstract, and in the meantime, they will give you the time also to submit full paper. This is because maybe your full paper is not ready yet. Abstract can be because you have planned. I think that should be fine. And at the same time, you get ready also for full paper. So there is nothing wrong. So on the depth of the discussion, I think that is where I discuss about the critical analysis, critical discussion, validation, strong reasoning phenomena, where I try to link with the Bloom's taxonomy, evaluation, JAS, and so on. So if you can again revise all those contents as I mentioned, and one of the slides also specifically mentioned critical analysis of results. That should be fine, and also follow some good model paper, how they have comprehensively explained critical analysis, critical discussion, and also thesis, good quality thesis. You read them, I think that will help you make critical discussion. Okay, so Ashekin, yeah, this one if accepted, please be sure that your manuscript thoroughly established. Okay, so if reviewer accept, but final decision actually is the editor. Editor also has the rule to say something. Some editor just simply rely on reviewers. It can be good, it can be bad, but editor just will not, blindly stamp reviewer, because reviewer also sometimes do mistake. Some of the things may be there, and also editorial policy also to make some comments to improve further. So I don't see anything wrong with that, and it is without addressing editor comments. If you ignore, I think that's also not proper approach to address the reviewer and editor's comments, because editor is also an expert. He or she may be an expert on their topics, and they also have vast experience. So even though reviewer gave a green signal, but you must address editor comments also. So these are practice in some journal, and some journal just simply, based on reviewer comments. And some journals, one reviewer, in some cases, one reviewer accept, one reviewer rejected, again, then rule of editor comes, maybe third reviewer need to be invited. So editor has basically a lot of rules, and we need to follow their instructions, particularly to improve it further. Important component do a critical review in. Okay, so I think the critical review also, as I mentioned, the synthesis, summary, evaluate, critically analyze, critically review in the form of tables and figures, why happening, critical discussion, comparison should be there, and follow some good model papers again to guide you, to help you, and also again do the Google search also. What is the meaning of critical review? There will be some additional things also you learn and you address. Okay. So what is the best way to identify the gaps in the research? I think again, reading the introduction part, reading the literature, reading the review paper. Okay. How many research objectives should we have in the conducting research? Okay, so normally 3 objective is always better, but if it is PhD, maybe up to 4. It depends on the committee also. If there, yeah. So So there are questions about the comprehensive, systematic, critical review. These are always almost similar things. So critical, as I mentioned, critical you analyze, systematic for progress, maybe for last few years, sometimes maybe it is dependent on years. So what progress has been done? Systematic, maybe topic wise. So different people write it in different ways. So as long as it is critical contents are there, so some terms are sometimes similar, maybe different way, need to understand. So there is comments about the book chapter, review paper, but my paper was rejected as IN, but reviewer commented that article is just like a book chapter. Again, these are, there is no hard and fast rule. Sometimes our paper, they say it is not journal paper, it is report. Two reviewers say it is original work, novelties are there. These are again mind to mind, people to people. It is hard to justify. A lot of bargains are involved there. There is no hard and fast rule because when you are writing book, basically there are components of research also. It can be original, it can be review. So again, the best way is to try in other options, other alternative ways that I have shown. Okay, so the H index, share that H index in Web of Science is much better than H index in Scopus. Is it right? These are again the subjective. So in Google Scholar, your H index may be much more higher than Scopus, than ISI Web of Science. So ISI Web of Science is normally 80% of the Scopus. These are normally a little bit more harder, stronger barricade is there. But Scopus and ISI Web of Science both are standard, maybe slightly different, not much. But Google Scholar will be much more different because they include each and every paper, including conference. So here is actually the debate. Maybe sometimes conference papers are considered low standard. But again, in my view, as you have seen, even though science papers are not cited at all, whereas Q3, Q4 papers are cited heavily. So maybe that conference paper is very useful, cited. So how we are going to differentiate? So these are pros and cons in scientific publications. So I think there are debates. I should agree, we should agree also, but there are pros and cons. I think Web of Science is stronger than Scopus, but again, what's the criteria? How to define it strongly, I'm not sure. So there are debates. I cannot say much more than that. But to me, I think these are some of the indicators. As long as you are doing some quality work, good work, publishing in original paper, journal paper, there are citations, progressing well. Conference paper also there, seminar paper also there, invited speaker also there, balanced way. I think should be fine. And also your works are get noticed by others. Others are citing progressively, even though new research are, but progressively citing others people using. I think this should be fine. Yes, conference paper, simulation review paper can be. Should I just focus on established work with experimental practical results? Yeah, as I mentioned, you can. If you are experimentalist, yes, you can focus on experimental work. If you are good at modeling simulation, you can. But you should have all other categories also. But major work actually should be on original work. That can be modeling, that can be simulation, that can be experimental work. And also there should have some review work. But if you don't have review work, nothing wrong, because you want to focus on original work, either modeling and simulation, it should be okay. But as you know, if you want to progress, if you want to for your promotion, maybe it will be needed. And also if you want to train your students, so writing review paper also a lot of other immense benefit also. So yeah, if possible, you can keep focus with all others as I mentioned. If not possible, only original paper modeling simulation should also be okay. Yeah, I think Nurul, yeah, there are a lot of questions we can discuss maybe later on. Cannot finish all. Okay, I'm a little bit tired also. Talk continuously 3 hours.
I will email the questions to you.
Yeah.
Then I will email all the other participants.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much for your answers. I hope this answers the audience and participants' questions and also concerns. So we have come to the end of this webinar. Now, if everyone could turn on their web camera so that we can have a photo session. So Puan Siti will help to take the screenshot of us all together. Is Puan Siti here? Okay. All right, so everyone, keep smiling. It's gonna have a lot of pages of new audience. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, smile. Okay, another page. 1, 2, smile. Another page. 1, 2, smile. So we have several pages here. Okay, all right. So a heartfelt thank you and utmost gratitude to Prof. Saidur for sharing the knowledge and experience with all of us. And thank you to all participants for your time and thoughtful questions at today's webinar. So we hope this webinar is beneficial for you in many ways. And we also hope that you can join us again in another series of further webinar. So please don't forget to fill up the attendance and evaluation form. We will email the video recording as well as the slideshow, the slide presentation to all the registered participants. And for those who are interested to join our publication coaching in the evening at 2:30 p.m., I will share you the link in the chat box. We basically have 3 different groups that covers ICT, engineering, social science. Each group will be facilitated by Razak faculty staff who have a lot of experiences in high impact publication. So it will be great if we can bring along your draft article for further discussion with our facilitators. So with that, I end this session with wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.